Welcome everyone to Monday Night Racing. The Season 5 playoffs are back once again. This is the 5th Monday night in a row we've been streaming here on my YouTube channel, also streaming on Twitch. Tonight, IndyCar racing at Auto Club Speedway. I've been peeking in at practice here the last 20 or 30 minutes. There have been some spectacular crashes for sure, but there's also been some pretty high-speed, perilous sim racing going on, so you guys are in for a fantastic show. We're all in for a fantastic show. I'm excited to watch, even though I'm part of the broadcast here. But thanks everyone for tuning in a little early. As always, we go green just a little past the top of the hour, just past 8 p.m. Eastern time. But those of you tuning in here a little early get to watch the wonderful Out of the Groove pre-race show. It means you get to hang out live with me. Yes, this is live. I'm not a recording. I am reading the chat right here. We got Ward Jones tuning in from Florida. A few people, Jimmy earlier said this is his first time watching, or second time watching. Last week was his first race. Of course, ARCA cars at Daytona last Monday night was pretty spectacular. Ended with some controversy. You can see on screen right now, practice going on. A completely different look than what we saw last week. Stock cars at Daytona versus Indy cars at the 2 Mile Oval in Fontana. Completely different look, going to be a completely different style of racing, but it's the same cast of characters you guys have come to know and love the past few weeks. Rogue Phantoms tuning in from Germany. Got Nate from Minnesota, but Germany, my goodness, international viewers tuning in here to Monday Night Racing Season 5. But this is a playoff race. This is the first race of the round of 7. See, the way Monday Night Racing does things, they go from 13 down to 10, down to 7, down to the Championship 4. We'll talk about that Championship 4 race here in just a few moments. But tonight, there are 7 drivers remaining. The first race of this, I guess, semi-final round. And here are the standings for you guys. Presley Sora, as the points reset, is your points leader. David Shieldhouse, Anthony Alfredo, and Adam Cabot. James Bickford is technically the first driver out, although as you can see, there's really a 3-way tie for that 4th and final transfer spot. Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern currently on the outside looking in as well, but the points are very, very tight. And you noticed a few NASCAR Xfinity Series names on that list. Not a lot of IndyCar, at least not real-world IndyCar experience among our Monday Night Racing playoff drivers, so everyone's a little out of their element tonight. You see someone going through the grass trying to get onto pit road, someone just going through the grass for the heck of it. I think we're in for a great show tonight. A lot of people chiming in the live chat where they're watching from: Tennessee, Florida, Berlin, Germany to be exact. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Welcome, Massachusetts. A lot of good stuff here. Great to see so many familiar faces in the live chat once again. We've got some other great pre-race content coming your way here shortly. Maryland, nice. If you're not a robot, read this. Thank you, Tactical. Proof that this is a live stream. Last day in Texas. Oh, I see. Okay, interesting. All right. My neck of the woods, at least for one more day. Lovely. Watching from Japan. I don't know if I can't believe it. That's shocking. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. We got viewers from Ohio, I'm seeing, in Denmark in the Twitch chat, which is pretty cool. From the moon. All right, now you guys are just playing with me. I love that. I love knowing where people are watching these races from, because I just see names on a screen. I like to add some context to that. You guys just saw the list of playoff drivers. You can see a bunch of the names of drivers all the way to my, I guess it's to my right, to your left on the screen. You can see many of the drivers racing tonight. Do we have any early picks? I like to ask this every week, because the first week I did this, we streamed on this channel, a lot of folks were just going to Anthony Alfredo. You know, one of the more recognizable names. People who watch NASCAR on Saturdays have probably come to be familiar with Alfredo. Heck, if you watch the Cup race, you know, last year, you know, in recent years, you've seen Anthony Alfredo. But as we've gone on, there have been far more drivers getting picks from the live chat. We've got some Ryan Vargas is right there right now. Adam Cabot getting a mention. We got a Bailey Turner mention, not even a playoff driver, but getting a shout out, getting a pick. Presley Sora. I just think it's remarkable. Fans of Monday Night Racing have now gotten to know many of the contenders better and better over the last few weeks. We'll get to know them a little bit better here in just a few minutes as well. But real quick, I want to talk about the playoff finale. Today, Monday Night Racing announced something pretty cool. For the second year in a row, they will be hosting the championship race live in front of a real audience in Charlotte, North Carolina. Producer, play that clip. This is pretty cool.
Anthony Alfredo to the outside. Cabot tries to block. Give the momentum to the 23. Here comes David Shieldhouse on the bottom with a huge push from Garrett Smithley. Down onto the inside of the racetrack. Cabot goes ahead. They touch. Going into turn 3. Still even for the championship lead.
And Adam Cabot crosses the line for the Magic Man to have his magic moment.
And going up against some of the biggest names in motorsports, how many people do you know have the chance to do that? What's that emotion like?
Yeah, I know one person. He's standing right here. So, I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Hey everybody, Kyle Busch here. Be sure to grab your tickets for the Monday Night Racing Championship Night. Grab them today.
Awesome stuff. Yes, the Monday Night Racing Season 5 finale will be held live at the Carolina Esports Hub in Charlotte, North Carolina. Really cool that they're getting to put on that kind of show for the second year in a row. That's going to be really cool to be streaming it in just 2 weeks. That's August 29th, 2 weeks from tonight. So pretty exciting stuff. But good to see so many people watching, everyone commenting on the wrecks and the crashes in the right before we went to that bit. Yes, Kyle Busch had a cameo. Yeah, Kyle Busch, he's been a driver in the Monday Night Racing series in the past. MNR attracts stars from all around the industry, but of course, notably several top drivers race in the series from time to time. I have not been to an IndyCar race at Texas Medium Space. I've been to a couple IndyCar races, one at Circuit of the Americas when they raced there that one time. I went to the race at the Indy Road Course last year, so I've been to a couple IndyCar races now. Haven't been to the Indy 500 yet. I gotta check that one off my list eventually. I've only been to the Daytona 500 once. This year was my first time going to Daytona for that major race, so eventually the Indy 500 will get crossed off as well. Got some more picks for Presley Sora. Yeah, I wish I'd gone to the IndyCar race at Texas this year. It was, you see a massive crash going into turn 1. I wish I'd been to the IndyCar race at Texas this year. That was a pretty fantastic last lap, final corner pass. That was pretty awesome. So yeah, no, IndyCar puts on a great show at Texas. Texas Motor Speedway been in the news the last couple days. There's plenty of rumors surrounding its future. What's going to happen to the real world Texas Motor Speedway after next year? Even next year, how's it going to fit into the NASCAR schedule? Been some interesting rumors going on there. So pretty interesting stuff. One more time, I want to look, because we got a few new people who just tuned in. I want to look at the playoff drivers. Again, 13 when we started this 4 or 5 weeks ago. We're now down to 7. Presley Sora resets as the points leader. David Shieldhouse, Anthony Alfredo, Adam Cabot, currently the 4 in, although Cabot, as you can see, is tied with Bickford and Ryan Vargas for that final spot. The tiebreaker will go to the best finish of this round. That's between this week's race at Auto Club and next week's race, which is at Atlanta. Colin Fern bringing up the rear there in 7th, but these are the elite. I was about to say the Elite 8, but it's 7, so it doesn't quite roll off the tongue. It's the special 7. Here's a full breakdown of how the rounds have gone. We've eliminated 6 drivers thus far. So make your picks. I know later on the booth will be picking their Championship 4 drivers here before too long. And yes, you're seeing that correctly. Homestead Miami is the Championship 4 here in Monday Night Racing. A little throwback. It's kind of sad that we call that a throwback now, since in the real world, it's been a few years since Homestead hosted the finale. Medium Space, thanks for the super chat. Make your own 36 race NASCAR schedule right here, right now, live. I don't think I can do that right now. I can tell you I would like a couple more short tracks, but that's about as specific as I can get off the top of my head. It takes a team of people. It takes practically an entire corner of the industry to put together a real schedule every single year. That is not an easy thing to do in real time, but I appreciate the support, and that maybe is a good topic for a video at some point in the not so distant future. So one thing we've done here on these Out of the Groove pre-race shows the last few weeks is we've gotten to know our playoff drivers a little better. And I'll be honest, I'm starving. I did not eat dinner before we went live, and I'm regretting it big time. But My favorite food is pizza. I have strong pizza opinions. I think everyone does. And I thought it'd be fun to ask our playoff drivers if they have any hot takes when it comes to their favorite types of pizza toppings, etc. Let's see if our Monday Night Racing playoff drivers can settle the debate once and for all. Does pineapple belong on pizza? And Chad, I want to hear you guys chime in on it as well. So let's get to know some of our Monday Night Racing playoff drivers. What's the best type of pizza? Like thin crust, deep dish?
Anything from New York.
Okay. So thin crust typically? Or?
I want thin crust, greasy as can possibly be. Maybe put some mushrooms on it. Heavy cheese, heavy sauce. I want to taste the diabetes going down my throat. That's what I want.
Yeah, you signed up to eat pizza. Like, I mean, what did anyone expect?
Yeah, if I wanted a salad, I would have gone somewhere else.
First of all, the best type of pizza is from New York and New Jersey. Nothing else compares. I've never had pizza anywhere outside the tri-state area that comes even close. So definitely Brooklyn style.
Oh, deep dish. Deep dish pizza. Love deep dish. And pepperoni. Just pepperoni and cheese pizza. None of the pineapples, none of that stuff. Pepperoni and cheese, that's where it's at. We have a place up here called Pizza King. Best pizza on earth. Best I've ever had.
They make this deep dish Detroit style pizza, and it is so good. And for some reason, it's like nostalgic to me. I don't know what it's nostalgic to, but like anytime I get it, I'm like so ecstatic.
Man, if I'm just like ordering up a pizza, it's probably gonna have as many dead animals on it as possible. So like a meat lovers or something like that. I know the big debate is like pineapple on pizza. I firmly believe that pineapple belongs on pizza. I will definitely order that without any hesitation. Thin crust is cool. Like I enjoyed thin crust a lot as a younger guy, but now I kind of look at it as just like stuff on cardboard. So give me something a little bit thicker and I'll be happy.
Wow, strong words.
I used to work at a pizza shop like 5 or 6 years ago, and I love like super random pizza. Like I don't like tomato basil sauce. Like I like throwing like ranch and pesto on the base, or like garlic infused oil or stuff like that. Okay. Maybe a little thin crust, thick crust depending on what toppings, but I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to pizza.
I like a thin pizza that when you hold it like this, it doesn't like fall down. It can actually hold its shape a little bit, so a little crisp, but the crust is still kind of puffy at the edge.
That's a very specific type of pizza. That's hard to find.
There's only a couple places that have it.
And I knew this topic would get the chat heated. We have Frostmirror167 says, oh, ranch with pizza is good. And then just a few spaces below that, Replicator, ranch is disgusting with pizza. Oh my goodness. I don't know, something about pizza debates just brings out the spiciest takes. Like David Shieldhouse in that clip, I have to agree and strongly disagree. I too love me a good meat lover's pizza, but the slander for thin crust will not be tolerated. That being said, though, I don't know if I'm really going out. There's a special occasion. I'm loving me a Chicago-style deep dish pizza. Something from, obviously something like local, homemade is the best, but I don't even mind the big chains. Take me to Gino's East. I will have a good time. So there's my hot take, just throwing it out there. So I could see some people in the chat already picking favorites amongst the drivers based on their pizza tastes. But let's go a little deeper. Let's dive a little deeper into one driver in particular. Let's dive past their pizza preferences. Ryan Vargas, you may recognize him as a driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but this week, Devin sat down with Ryan and got to know the real-life race car driver a little bit better.
We are chatting with one of our real-life racing combatants, a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver for JD Motorsports, Ryan Vargas. You are a staple now, I'd have to say, in Monday Night Racing. It's always a pleasure to have you in the series, and now looking for a championship. But I want to take a few steps back to start. Where did your racing career begin for you? Someone out on the West Coast and trying to make your way into NASCAR.
Yeah, my racing career started, it really kind of came about when my dad took me to Irwindale Speedway, my home track, 20 minutes from my house, and I found out that kids could race in a division called Bandoleros. We won several state championships, tied for national titles, moved up the ranks. That passion really came from, of all crazy things to say, Gravedigger, the monster truck. I was a massive Dennis Anderson fan growing up, and that also comes from just waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. on the West Coast to watch racing on Speed Channel. IMSA racing, sports car racing, NASCAR, demolition derbies, off-road trucks, whatever it may be. As long as it had 4 wheels and a motor, I loved it.
A lot of people talk about the fun little Lightning McQueen lightning bolt that you have on your head, and that comes from when you were younger and being part of the craniosynostosis. Did I say it right?
Craniosynostosis. It's all
Craniosynostosis. The craniosynostosis family. I think I'm getting there. But in terms of that, I mean, you're the first guy who I really have ever heard of with anything to do in that community. And you like to go back, give back. As part of some of your early sponsors in real life racing, what has that community meant to you? Not just to be a part of, but then also to give back too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to me. I'll show you here. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. One of my first sponsors, Cranial Care Bear. From what I understand from all my research, being the only athlete with craniosynostosis, to be the only driver in NASCAR with craniosynostosis. You know, a lot of people, a lot of families, when they find out that their child has craniosynostosis, you know, they don't know what to do. And then, you know, it's a very troubling time, you know, because there's different types of craniosynostosis. I was fortunate to where mine, you know, just required 1 surgery, but I know people who've had to have multiple surgeries and to this day have to have surgery. We actually ran Cranial Care Bears on the lower quarter panel at Dover. Brentley Emin, the son of Summer, who founded Cranial Care Bears, he unfortunately passed away this year. He was 11 years old. I ran him on the car at Dover. So it's just it's a personal topic for me, and people always feel a little awkward asking me why I have this lightning bolt on the side of my head, but I'm always happy to talk about it because it's my story and it's many others' story. It's 1 in every 2,000 or 3,000 kids have it. So,
and I know for every single race car driver, the ultimate goal for your career, for your life, is to be that NASCAR Cup Series driver. But I want to look even further beyond just being a Cup Series driver potentially one day. What do you see as your ultimate goal in the motorsports industry?
I just want to be remembered as someone who has impacted people in positive ways. You know, I can go out there and race Xfinity, Racing Cup for as many years as I like, and you know, I hope to have a successful career. But as long as I have people who think highly of me and people who think well of me, then that's all that really matters to me. I want to positively influence the people around me, and that's just been my mantra since the very beginning.
Appreciate Devin putting that segment together. We are now joined live. That's right, we are back live. We're joined by Ryan Vargas coming to us from his sim rig. Ryan, how you doing? Thanks for being here.
Man, I am excited. IndyCars at Fontana is always a crazy combo, especially with it being in the playoffs. It's definitely going to be. I think it's going to definitely throw a wrench to everybody's driving style, but as long as you're at the end of Survive, I think you'll be fine.
One thing I love about Monday Night Racing is it's a variety of cars and tracks. It's not just, you know, NASCAR stock cars every week. We've raced MX-5s week 1, IndyCars tonight. Ryan, you've made it basically through the first half of the playoffs. We've cut the field from 13 to 7, basically in half. So how do you feel your playoffs have gone so far? What's allowed you to get to this point?
I've definitely met all the expectations that I really wanted to. You know, whenever I do this Monday Night Racing League, I want to kind of prove that I am competitive on the sim. It's kind of a side thing, I guess. I attack this kind of like how I do in real life. You know, as long as I'm there at the end, the result will show. And I've kind of coined the phrase this playoffs, top 10 them to death, and that's what I've been doing. You know, that's my plan. Knock on wood to do that tonight. Get another top 10 and hopefully continue padding my wallet with points.
Love it. Yeah, you mentioned a second ago, you know, you're excited to race the Indy cars at Auto Club, but it is a completely different beast. So can you kind of let the audience know, like, how do the Indy cars feel different than stock cars around this track? Like, what in particular are the drivers having to be aware of?
Well, the biggest thing that drivers have to be aware of is the fact that, you know, these aren't like stock cars. They don't like to slide at all. You know, once these things break sideways, you're going around. So it's really about making sure you are aware of your surroundings because everything happens so much faster. I mean, we're topping out at 230, 235 at the end of the straightaways here in the draft. And then also you got to think, while it is, a lot of on throttle time, you still have to modulate the throttle. You still have to worry about downshifting, keeping that momentum up so that you are maximizing A, your speed, but also B, not completely killing your corner speed.
Well, it sounds like you've got your work cut out for you, and you were telling me right before we went live. What's your paint scheme this week on your IndyCar? What is it? A livery, I guess, is what they say.
I don't have one this week, so I'm just going blank. I guess the story of the week is we're unsponsored. So, but I love it. I love this Monday Night Racing League. I've been able to run some amazing paint schemes this year, courtesy of my friends at Swan Security, and we also had Kindred Hot Sauce back at Daytona at MX5. So it's a lot of fun to branch out into this new, I guess you could say, esports realm of racing.
Absolutely. You're going to look like a stealth missile out there. Now, obviously, a lot of people familiar with your chicken nugget reviews. You're a chicken nugget connoisseur. The live chat here on YouTube, they were doing this before you got here. They've just been debating fast foods. So if you win tonight, where are you celebrating?
So people are going to give me flack for this. So McDonald's nuggets, in my opinion, are like the baseline nugget. Like if you think of like a chicken nugget, you think of a McNugget. You don't think of, oh, I want to go to get a Wendy's nugget. I want to go to Burger King and get a chicken fry. Or I want to go to Chick-fil-A, which Chick-fil-A nuggets aren't nuggets. They're just chicken tenders that are chopped up. Chick-fil-A quit being lazy. But it's a lot of, it's just such a great snack. I love it.
All right. Well, we can assume that if the 6 is in victory lane tonight, there will be a chicken nuggets devoured. That's what it sounds like. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight. Good luck making your way, hopefully, to the championship 4 in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, hope to bring this Charlotte Phoenix team from the ashes this weekend. Well, today, Monday.
It's confusing. When
I'm used to saying weekend.
Yeah, no, you are excused. That's an honest mistake. But thank you, Ryan Vargas, for joining us here live. Man, a lot of folks, are surprised by his McDonald's take in the chat. Hey, that is the chicken nugget connoisseur in the NASCAR garage. I believe we have David Shieldhouse, who comes into this race, I believe, as the hottest driver in Monday Night Racing, winning the most recent race at Daytona. David, you got me?
Oh, I got you. I got a hold of this delicious water that I'm drinking too. Got to stay hydrated. Hello, Eric.
Hey, good to see you. Glad you're hydrated, because this is going to be a tense show. We're just talking to Ryan Vargas, talking about how different these IndyCar cars handle compared to your typical stock cars. So what are you expecting to kind of run into on track tonight?
Hopefully I'm not going to run into anything. The only thing I want to run into is maybe the checkered flag when they hand it to me at the end of this thing. This is a much different beast. It's kind of an interesting wild card to throw in at this point of the playoffs, because it's basically been stock cars on ovals, except for the road course race in the Miatas. So this is a wild card. If you've been watching practice, and I'm sure you have, you've seen we're wild with these things. You get huge runs. We're 3-4 wide all over the racetrack. But as soon as you hit that dirty air, the aero wash, you lose the front end, and these cars start shoving and plowing up the track, and you're going to see some spectacular crashes. I do believe, hopefully, the Xyloware Chevy Dallara IR18 will not be involved in any of those crashes. We'll keep it clean tonight, win this thing, and just cruise along into the championship. Take next week off. That sounds like a good plan to me.
It sure sounds like it. Easier said than done. Like I said just a moment ago, I think you're the hottest driver right now as far as finishes, as far as wins the last few weeks in these playoffs. But with the reset in points, you are currently +5, I believe, going into this 2-race round. So is there any of that in the back of your mind protecting points, or since it's such a slim margin, you're just going to go out and try to do your thing?
I appreciate you telling me that I'm the hottest driver in the series. Finally, somebody's got some sense to agree with what I've been saying. I've won 2 out of the last 4 races,
I just read the stats. It's basic math.
That's why I like you, Eric. Not only do you like Matt Kenseth, but you know how to read stats and come to the right conclusion. All joking aside, I think tonight for me, I'm going to be the aggressor as much as I can. I feel really confident about our combo next week with the next gens at Atlanta. So, I feel like I can go out and win that race pretty well off, I would say. Better chance than most guys, if need be. So if I can go out there, get a win tonight, great. If I go out there, finish top 5, I'll be feeling pretty good. But I would love to win. That's the easiest way to get to the championship 4. And you know, I'm getting up there in age, Eric. The easiest way is the best way, in my opinion.
Keep it simple. I like it. Well, we'll be looking out for you. Good luck tonight, David. We'll all be watching.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Enjoy the show, everybody. Thanks for supporting Monday Night Racing. We really do love having you guys watching our races, and we'll put on a show for you.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. We'll get to picks in just a few moments. We'll actually toss it to the booth here, I believe. Next, I want to give Ryan Bauer a ton of credit for helping put this Out of the Groove pre-race show together. I saw a few people in the comments saying that they're really impressed with the production of this pre-race show. That's not me. Ryan's out here making me look somewhat competent at what I'm doing here, trying to manage 3 or 4 different screens at once. So appreciate his hard work. But that's going to do it for the Out of the Groove pre-race show. Next, let's bring in Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz, the 3 gentlemen who will be calling the majority of tonight's action. Blake, good to hear from you. How you doing tonight?
We're doing great, Eric, which, by the way, every single week, always a joy to listen to the Out of the Groove pre-race show. So great job on that, as always. And, of course, as Eric just alluded to, joined by my broadcast partners in the broadcast booth, Kenneth Bueno and Jacob Hitz tonight for yet another round of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries Playoffs. We are already to the round of 7. 3 races to go, Kenneth. Not a whole lot of time left in the season. It's amazing to think it's gone this fast.
Yeah, definitely not, and the points are remaining as tight as they could ever be. So we are just basically running through the season, and we still don't know who is quite yet the basic favorite for the championship later on in the Season 5 schedule. But of course, it has been a while since we ran the IndyCars. Last time we ran IndyCars was in an all-star race format, so no points were awarded. Last time, though, we had points on the line was back in season number 3 in the middle of the season, or rather in the beginning of the season, not in a playoff format like this, not with a lot of pressure on the drivers in this way. So I think for this entire race, there's just going to be a lot of questions up in the air. The one thing we know for certain is that nobody is quite safe just yet. And this is going to be really the first test for who's going to be the best driver in this round, especially with that next race, Old Atlanta with the next gens. This one going to be the precursor to that, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, and I think, Jacob, we've seen a theme somewhat so far this season that we've run a lot more familiar combinations. Again, this is a league that is largely influenced by the NASCAR industry. So a lot of NASCAR stock cars, a lot of NASCAR tracks, ovals that they're used to. Indy cars are at a familiar venue here at Auto Club, and the big racetrack here, of course, hasn't been converted to a short track yet. But these Indy cars, vastly different than what a lot of these drivers are used to.
Now you might be able to hear me. There we go. That's what happens when I forget to unmute myself before we come on the air. But you're absolutely right, Blake, that these Indy cars drive nothing like the stock cars that these guys are used to driving specifically at this racetrack. We've only done this combo 1 or 2 other times in the history of Monday Night Racing, and we haven't used the Indy cars since way back in season number 3, with the exception of the All-Star race a year ago at Talladega, or a season ago at Talladega. And in talking with some guys in pre-race, gathering notes to be down on pit road for tonight, Adam Cabot really struck me that he's really got to figure out one part of the car that I don't know if a lot of people are going to be educated in, which is the weight jacker on the car. You can make adjustments to that on the fly while you're out on the racetrack, almost like the track bar adjuster that the Gen 6 cars had for a couple of years before they got rid of that. That's something that he said that he's going to have to work on and kind of practice to how it's going to affect him in a longer run. Something that in his first IndyCar start back at Indianapolis in season number 3, that was just his 4th career start, by the way. He went out and won it. He thinks he's going to need to find that fine line between having it a little too far out of control and having it fast enough in order to move along down the stretch. And I think that's going to be crucial for not only the playoff guys, but the guys outside of the playoffs as well, just here racing for wins, to find that line and not to go too far over.
Yeah, that's going to be very important. And again, I know we see a lot of questions in the YouTube chat last week about fixed setup versus open setup. So fixed setup means that everybody's in the same car or in the same setup, but they do have the ability to adjust on that weight jacker. We'll talk more about it as we continue to roll along. But for now, we'll throw it down to Ford Martin for our invocation as well as the playing of our national anthem.
Hey everyone, let's go ahead and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings you have brought forward to us. Lord, we ask you to be at the safety of our drivers, our broadcast team, and those watching wherever they may be. Lord, thank you for the many blessings you have brought forward to us, and let more people come to know your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Back with you here, and the drivers are just about ready to get rolling here at the Auto Club Speedway, as we will very quickly, Jacob and Kenneth, will look at our track facts here at this racetrack, which again, Kenneth, not exactly what we're used to seeing here, because we've heard so much talk about this track changing, but this Scannon iRacing, one of the oldest that they have on the service.
That's definitely true. It shares the same shape as Michigan International Speedway, which is the track that we visited a couple of weeks back, but this track is very different. The asphalt is more bumpy. This track is more worn out, and that means it's a lot of fun to drive. There's multiple grooves from the inside to the outside on the 14 degrees of banking. The 11 degrees on that front straightaway going to be used for a lot of drafting help, especially with these Indy cars, and the 3 degrees on the back straightaway with the bumps. Also a lot of fun to see some moves happening entering turn 3. It's a 2-mile oval, 3.219 kilometers. Opened back in 1997 in Fontana, California, a beautiful scenic area in SoCal. And also, fun fact, last time, or IndyCar rather, used to run a lot of races here at this Auto Club Speedway, and this track has the fastest speed record with an IndyCar, 241 miles per hour, set by Joe DeFerro back in 2000.
And again, these cars are going to be all over this racetrack. When you say multi-groove, you're not kidding about that. You're going to want to get all the clean air that you can possibly get at this racetrack. And Jacob, this is how it's set up to run around this track as we take a look at our race analysis.
Yeah, our race analysis, 110 laps up on the board, 80% fuel load. That's just shy of 15 gallons that these guys are going to be able to get into their race cars on a full set of fuel tonight. We're looking at about a 3-stop strategy. You got 3 tire sets in pit lane. You're probably going to wind up using all 3. We're looking at maybe a 24 to 30 lap range under green flag before you need to come onto pit road. You might be able to make it a little bit further if you save and we get a couple of cautions in a row. 1 fast repair and 3 green-white checkers are at our disposal here tonight.
going to be the case for sure, Jacob, as we'll go ahead and kind of make this quick here to kind of show you our picks for the evening. Again, that is everybody up here, not just us here in the broadcast booth, as we will take a look at who everybody has picked tonight. There you see it pop up on your screen. I'm going to take Presley Sora. I think this is just his time, and he'll lock his way into the Championship 4. Looks like Kenneth Bueno going to go with DJ Cummings. Would be a nice surprise to see Cummings visit victory lane tonight. You see Jacob Hitz right there, a very, very popular pick in the chat, I would say. Anthony Alfredo, and of course, all the way down there in the end, Eric Estep. Well, we just talked to him. David Shieldhouse is his prediction to go to victory lane tonight. Now, again, it is worth mentioning all 7 drivers, or all 4 drivers, rather, from our Championship 4 last season are a part of this round of 7. They have the opportunity to qualify and continue their march towards a championship this season. Well, it looks like the drivers are on the grid, as you can see in the background, and we are just about ready to get this thing rolling as qualifying is complete. You can see the starting order at the bottom of your screen. James Bickford, 32.310 seconds, takes the pole over Gabe Wood in second. Colin Fern, one of those round of 7 competitors looking to lock his way to the Championship 4, hasn't found victory lane yet this season, but will look to do so tonight. He'll start in 3rd, and DJ Cummings, solid qualifying effort for him. He will start in 4th. Presley Sora will roll off in the 5th position. Dakota Curtis, he will start from 6th tonight. Row on back, we were talking about it off air. Justin Malillo and Seth Eggert, a very solid start for both of those drivers in row number 4, 7th and 8th position respectively. You look back at 9th, there's Mark. You'll find Mark Rabilis, and 10th will be Matt Stallneck. Kenneth?
It's Arizona's own Devin Henry in the 77. He starts from 11th. You'll have league owner Ford Martin for Crypto Autosport to his outside in that 6th row. Grit Esports represented with Nick Olson in the 24. He's 13th. You'll have the Flying Hawaiian Will Rogers for Space Station Gaming on his outside in P14. Garrett Smithley in the 15 is 15th, rolling off on the grid tonight, and playoff driver Anthony Alfredo will look to get to victory lane once again here from Auto Club. He was a previous winner with the Xfinity cars at this very track. Bailey Curry in the 05 starts 17th. You'll have Brandon Brown to his outside in P18. David Shieldhouse, a little bit of work to do from 19th on the grid, and same deal for former championship driver and season 4 champion Adam Cabot, who rolls off P20.
Brett Baldeck will roll off in 21st. Max Kennan will be up on the outside. Of course, he got eliminated after that race at Daytona. Ryan Vargas deep in the field, the furthest back of the playoff drivers in 23rd. Michael Massey will be on the outside. Robbie Lyons and Noah Lewis will make up row number 13. Case Kallenbach and Steve Affont in row 14. George Belfans Jr., former playoff driver this season, and Chris Wilner making his return back to MNR. He starts in row 30.
See the final 2 drivers scroll right there, Bailey Turner and Shane Van Gisbergen, who has made it a habit of not qualifying for these races and finding a way to race towards the front of the field. You can see the in-sim weather for tonight, 74 degrees, which kind of cools that track down a little bit to 75 degrees. Should make for a very wide racetrack that's pretty gripped up, and we'll see how these drivers kind of move around this racetrack. They'll be all the way on the bottom to the top in both ends. And of course, it is worth mentioning the last time we ran this combo in Monday Night Racing, it was James Davison who won that race, but of course he is not in attendance tonight, so we will have a new winner to speak of here in this IR18 rolling at Auto Club. Eric, one thing I love about this racetrack, I don't know if there's any track that is more picturesque than Auto Club that we visit in the service. The sunset, everything about this racetrack is just one of the gorgeous venues that we come to.
It's fitting that this is, I guess, the closest track we have geographically to Hollywood. Everyone talks about golden hour when that light hits just right over those Southern California mountains. No, you're exactly right, Blake. Southern California Auto Club Speedway, picturesque, and these Indy cars look fantastic. That sunset is going to glisten off these cars all night long.
It really is, and again, you can see how much of a lead that pace car has as they will be trying to go at a certain point in the restart zone to allow these cars to launch, so creating enough of a gap to allow that to happen is James Bickford right now, who runs in first and second. More of an IndyCar style restart here. You'll see them kind of roll up to speed a little bit earlier than what we typically see if they were running in a NASCAR series. So Bickford, a lot of time, slowly crawling up to speed, and he will hit the loud pedal, and we will quickly be underway. Green flag is out, and we are racing here for 110 laps around the Auto Club Speedway. As they complete lap number 1, we saw troubles before we took the green flag for one of our top contenders, Jacob.
Yeah, it's trouble with Anthony Alfredo, one of the playoff drivers, coming down the back straightaway. He parked at an awkward angle on the apron. He said his wheel was having issues. He went to reconnect his wheel. He could not get it reconnected, though, before the green flag. He had to tow to pit road. As the field got by, they were almost in turn number 3 by the time he got off pit road. He's back on the racetrack, but he is about 22 seconds and falling behind from your race leaders, guys.
Well, and that is unfortunate for Anthony Alfredo. That's an issue that can sometimes pop up when we run these open wheel cars. Sometimes people use different wheelbases. Perhaps they're not used to setting it up. I know even for myself, I just use a Logitech Driving Force GT, but even then, the strong center spring on the wheels when you run these type of cars can kind of change things up a little bit. So have to wonder what happened with Alfredo there, but nevertheless, he pulled off before the green flag. He is on the racetrack right now, and he is 22 and 9 seconds behind your race leader as they work towards turns 1 and 2. Kenneth, big implications there for the playoffs and Anthony Alfredo.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, Blake, no doubt about it, because, of course, going into this round, everything is reset, and Anthony Alfredo holds a 4-point buffer to the last driver in the round of 7, which is Colin Fern, as you watch him battle for the race lead with DJ Cummings coming out of turn 4, so Alfredo desperately needs a saving grace here, and in the opening 4, it definitely is going to hurt. I think for him right now, it isn't the biggest issue because these guys are battling for the lead. They're somewhat losing time, but at some point, that barrier is going to break, and Alfredo is going to have to play the long game here in the next 105 laps or so. A huge hit for Alfredo early on.
A daring move there for Presley Sora. He went 3 wide on the front straightaway. It did get him the race lead, but now back on the top side. Here comes Colin Fern, 2 of your championship contenders, which you can see is marked in green on the left-hand side of your screen. Green drivers are obviously competing for a spot in the championship 4. You see the drivers in white. Well, they are just here competing for pride. Another 3 wide move for the lead. This time it is DJ Cummings, and it looks like, Kenneth, that is going to be an opportunity for these drivers to get these runs down these long straightaways, and with how powerful the draft is at this early part of the run, going to make it very advantageous to build up a lead, as now Colin Fern will cycle through to the top spot.
And especially early on, these tires not falling off. We're only on lap 6, so these guys have the leverage as they're almost 4 wide. Cummings tried to thread the needle on the outside in between Colin Fern and the very outside wall. They almost got together going into turn 1, but early on in this one, we're going to see a lot of this. Guys packing in, accordion together, getting the use of that draft, upwards of 225 miles an hour, especially here on these straightaways, as here comes DJ Cummings back to the inside for the lead in turn 3.
Well, it's certainly going to be a challenge for the leader at any point to try and hold serve early enough in this run. As you see, DJ Cummings will take the race lead. Now Colin Fern utilizing a little bit of draft. He'll challenge to the outside as well. Again, this is what you're going to see, Eric, a lot before we kind of see some tire wear come into play, because eventually getting clean air or getting dirty air going to be more of a factor when these tires wear out a little bit. So as much as we're seeing these battles, now here comes Sora to the the outside for the race lead into turn number 3. I think this is something that we'll see a lot early in the run, but will eventually settle down as we kind of move along in it.
Yeah, you got to get those positions while you can, while the grip in your tires is good. A lot of slingshots, a lot of twitchy, close blocks happening up front right now, and I just see danger around every corner. It doesn't take a big mistake to take out a lot of contenders. It's a good thing everyone has one fast repair tonight. I have a feeling we're going to see some uses of it before too long.
Well, not only that, Kenneth, you got to think this is the IndyCar. This isn't exactly a NASCAR stock car where these drivers are kind of used to being able to lean on one another and what have you. Really, about any damage in this car is enough to almost put you behind. Use a required repair. One of those wheels is going to fall off, and you'll be forced to use it. So there's not near as much leeway as what we're typically used to seeing with these cars.
And it comes at odds with the combo that we have next week to conclude the round of 7. We're going to have next gens, which usually are more hefty and can take a hit before they really start to get damaged. But these Indy cars, you have to be so careful, so cautious about making any sort of contact because, again, it's open wheels, suspensions all over the place. So you make that one hit going upwards of this speed, 225 miles an hour, as you ride on board with James Bickford, DJ Cummings. They're in a battle going into turn 1 for at least the top 3, top 5. You're just going to really have to wander around this track carefully and tread waters lightly around the competition. We've seen some risky moves already, guys going 3 wide, but I think now that we've got the opening 11 in, tires are starting to wear, and I think these guys are noting what you just said there about the damage. They don't want to hit each other. They don't want to get a little bit too close, so they're starting to back off, even when it looks like they can make a move in some cases.
Jacob, we hear you got something down on pit road. What do you got?
Yeah, I talked with Presley Sora before we got the race going, and he said something that kind of caught me off guard. He said that this is the most comfortable that he feels in a race car compared to just about any other car that's on the sim, and we know how good he was in the Miatas. He won at Martinsville. He had a strong run going at Daytona Road Course as well, and he says that this is the most confident he has been for a race all season long. We're just 12 laps into this thing, but it's already showing he's juking left and right, trying to get by Colin Fern, trying to manage the draft. If there's somebody early on that really looks like they're going to capture the flag first tonight and lock themselves into the championship 4, Presley Sora might be that guy right now.
He just might be, as you can see the green spoiler on that car that adorns the 98 livery, I guess we could say, since we're running Indy cars. You can see the same on Colin Fern as he now cycles to the lead. This is just behind them. You get the view of Nick Olsen right there, kind of a nice little couch there in the background, but he is not relaxing at the moment. As you can see, they are 3 wide in front of him for the lead. He's going to get a big run, but he'll choose to back out of it. You can also see a little bit of a different wheel right there, not using one of those open wheel bases, going with the tried and true stock car wheel that he's more accustomed to. Still, man, just a lot of great racing up here. Still 3 wide, and drivers, Kenneth, they are using every inch of this racetrack right now.
And that's a good thing. This is a very wide racetrack. You have multiple grooves, so why not venture out? Why not try the different lines and just utilize the space as much as possible, as they're again 3 wide for the race lead. But you can see a lot of guys starting to pack in. The accordion effect starting to really happen around lap 15. We're seeing a lot of guys starting to come and go. Some guys like DJ Cummings, he fell back to 9th. You think about your pole sitter, James Bickford, he's fallen to 4th, potentially in contention to get back to the race lead, but a lot of guys have been shuffling, slingshotting around this Auto Club Speedway, and again, like you said, utilizing as much space as possible, and at the moment it seems to be working for the likes of Presley Sora and Colin Fern. Here comes Fern though to the inside for the lead. You'll have Nick Olsen there, or Presley Sora pushing, or rather Nick Olsen pushing Presley Sora into turn 1. Here's the look from Adam Cabot in the 17. He's got a nice view of what is basically the hornet's nest around this top 5. If you look at the points on the right side, 3 points above, sitting in the good. This is going to add some more on the back straightaway as well.
Well, and Adam Cabot has made quick work of this field, as he is already up from the 20th starting spot up to 7th, and on the outside, oh boy, that was close quarters right there off of turn number 4. Cabot wasting no time though, and I think you can see it there from that onboard shot right there. Cabot just trying to use what the track and what these drivers were giving him. He's running really these last couple of laps. You can look, he is running wherever they're not. He's trying to get as much clean air on that front wing as possible. possible, utilizing every inch of this racetrack to kind of go where they're not, so to speak. As you can see, they're all at the top. You can see Cabot right there in the middle. Now he has some dirty air cut across his nose, but it's able to get him fourth. One car on the outside wall right next to him was Gabe Wood. But looks like that 50 car escapes with no harm done.
A little brush on the outside wall, not enough to get some suspension damage, but you're right, Adam Cabot has done a miraculous job at moving through this field, and this is really the run right now, Blake, at least in the opening 18, that Adam Cabot should be looking for.
Oh, trouble back straightaway, one car hard to the inside retaining wall, no caution, he has kept it off. It is Noah Lewis who slammed with a ferocious amount of speed into the inside wall in turn 2, and it looked like he got
they're wrecking off 4! Chris Wilner's around. One car into the wall. Michael Massey as well. Caution is out. It's not for the Noah Lewis crash. They're wrecking coming off turn number 4. And guys, that's the 3rd straight car to have issues coming off turn number 2. DJ Cummings did it 2 laps ago. Then it was Robbie Lyons. This time it's Noah Lewis. He can't save it. And then some more stuff going on in turn 4.
Yeah, I'm looking at turns 3 and 4. It was Will Rogers who just looked like he got a little bit loose there through turns 3 and 4, and he was kind of he cut across these seams. You're going to see it right there. Cuts across the seam and never really collected the car after that. He did his best to save it, but you have a whole bunch of Indy cars kind of flying by you every single moment. And unfortunate for him is you get a look at it one more time. Crosses over to the bottom seam. May have made some contact there. Put those left side tires on that apron, which again, it's just difficult to do in the middle of the corner. And, of course, you could see nowhere to go there for Chris Wilner, as you mentioned, who gets a significant amount of damage out of that. It looks like that may cost Ford Martin a front wing as well. So on lap 18, caution flag number 1, as we had multiple instances all over the track. And most of the drivers electing to come down to pit road. I'm sure we'll see some tires and perhaps a couple of fast repairs, Jacob.
Yeah, everybody going to make their way down onto pit road. This is maybe about 10 laps short of their window. Kind of looking at things, some drivers making it close to maybe 30 laps on a tank of fuel, but they're not in the pit box for very long. These guys are in the box for just 7 seconds or so before they peel out of town. Nick Olson picks a couple of spots up. He's going to be second coming off of pit road. Colin Fern will lead the way. Something to keep in mind as the race goes on. We don't have this in the stock cars. We have them here in the Indy cars. The fact that we have different fuel maps, different engine modes inside the race cars. So what that means is you can set that basically to determine how much fuel you want to burn. The more higher number you run, the more fuel you're going to save. If you're running a lower number, you're going to burn through more fuel, but it's going to give you more speed, more horsepower. So it's kind of a risk versus reward type deal for now, and you may see some guys toward the end, if we get a late race caution, kind of sit on the clutch and just kind of burn through some fuel, make the cars a little bit lighter. That'll make them a little bit faster. Blake.
Yeah, there are a lot of options for these drivers, Jacob. And you think about, especially on road courses, you even have push to pass in these cars. They do not have that, or multiple tire compounds. Not utilizing that at the Auto Club Speedway at this oval tonight. We want to let you know about Roasted Gems Coffee. It's premium coffee. With our online store, you will find bold, rich, and unique coffee beans, roasted per order and delivered fresh straight to your door in your mug at peak flavor. Enough of old coffee beans. Enjoy your precious coffee gems fresh. Visit roastedgems.com today. And Eric, interesting pit call right here. Colin Fern electing not to take tires so far. Really interesting call right there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see just how much fuel he has in his car, because as Jacob mentioned, we're roughly maybe 10 laps short of their window. We'll see how many laps he can go before he has to stop again. But if he's the only one out there, I think there's a couple that pit for fuel only as well. We'll see. We'll really see what kind of difference tires make on this restart.
We'll see if maybe that was a planned move right there. Don't think he was trying to trap anybody. He does come down pit road. So a really interesting call right there. That caution too, Kenneth, a big break right there for Anthony Alfredo, who was losing time to this lead pack. We talked about major playoff implications with him having that wheel issue, so that caution a big saving grace for Fast Pasta.
Yeah, it is huge for Anthony Alfredo. The only problem is he's restarting 27th, and he's in the middle of the field. So he's got a lot of work to do, Blake, as the field will come out of turn 4. It'll be all on Colin Fern's discretion. We'll see if Alfredo is able to pick up spots like Cabot did in the opening run as we take the green flag.
Early launch, Colin Fern, green flag is in the air, and boy, are they scattered throughout the rest of the field. You can see a lot of moves being made as, again, we're allowing for these earlier restarts, so the field having to pay a little more attention than they typically would. We'll see how this call works for Colin Fern. It looks like he's not going to be able to hold off a charge from Nick Olson, at least early on, so you can see the field drafting up on the top side, and Fern trying to manage in that clean air on the bottom.
And already you can see that 17 again, switching lines, like you said, the opening run, trying to go where these guys are not. A huge run out of turn 4, and he will send it bottom 3 wide for the race lead, and he'll clear the 24 and the 86. Back to turn 1, it'll oscillate the field. It'll bring Presley Sora back in it. James Bigford into the top 5. How about Gabe Wood?
Oh, trouble right behind him. Big crash off of turn 2. Some of your championship contenders, Nick Olson and Colin Fern, hard into the outside wall. They collect a third one as well in Gabe Wood, and they crashed again, looking at that wreck further on back in the field. But contact between Nick Olson, who is out of the playoffs, and Colin Fern, who is in. Major implications right there as caution is out for the second time tonight.
And it looks like, Blake, Adam Cabot had swerved up, got loose, chased it up the track, and put Colin Fern in his dirty air. Fern was not expecting that, had to check up, but Nick Olson was right behind him and hit him in the right rear tire. And that's the mess, that's the mayhem. And then even more cars get collected in, and it's just basically just trying to get away from all of it, but everybody's slowing down. They see the debris all over the track. They try their best, but then even more start to get collected near the apron. And there's a look at the mayhem for Colin Fern, the aftermath on his machine. And again, we talked about how sensitive these open wheel cars are to contact, and you hit a car like that at excess of 200 miles per hour, you're going to see some damage, especially on that suspension. A huge hit for Colin Fern there. Just the slight mistake, had to check up. His car was understeering a little bit too much, and that is potentially the race over. He's going to get his fast repair, but it's going to put him on the back foot for the rest of the evening.
You know, I'm going to say something here. That was an intentional move by Adam Cabot, and it's something that, you know, again, Cabot is not responsible for that wreck, but I can guarantee he saw a playoff contender behind him in his rearview mirror who was on old tires. He was running the bottom and intentionally moved up in front of Colin Fern to give him the dirty air, which caused about a 15-mile-per-hour checkup. I mean, Colin Fern was doing an excess of 220 miles an hour just off of turn 2. He checks up, and when they make contact with Nick Olson, he's going about 208. So Fern had to check up, got in the dirty air, got tight, and Olson, I'm sure, just wasn't expecting it, runs into the back of him. And Jacob, big trouble there for Colin Fern. We're hearing there's issues on pit road.
When it rains, it pours. Colin Fern had a broken race car. He brought it to pit road. You see his sideways in his box. He's saying right now that he cannot move in the box. It sounds like he may have. We're trying to figure out exactly if he used his fast repair or not, but he is stuck in his pit box right now. It sounds like what he's going to have to do is disconnect from the session and then come back, and that may fix the problem. It's an issue that's happened before. It sounds like it happens for Colin Fern. He fell one lap down already because he couldn't move in his box, and now he is going to fall multiple laps down, having to leave the session and coming back into the session. A disaster for Colin Fern.
And again, that is a precarious situation. So he was in his pit box. Obviously, the gearbox, or what usually happens with these drivers that will have an anti-stall clutch, because these Indy cars stall very easily. I mean, heck, I was in Indy. You see it in real life all the time. These cars are very easy to stall. He couldn't get the car to shift out of reverse. Now, the other problem is that he can't call a tow truck, which you could do if you stop anywhere on the track in iRacing, but you can't do it when you're in your pit stall. So Fern had to disconnect, reconnect to the session. We'll see if he has a fast repair left, which we hope he does, but right now Fern in a free fall when it comes to the Monday Night Racing points, and we'll see if he's able to get back in, load back into the car, and get going. So just a very strange situation there, but something, Eric, I'm sure he wishes he wasn't dealing with right now.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if in any way, shape, or form, I understand that both Adam Cabot, who was just in front of Colin Fern, are on the same tire strategy, but we saw a lot more chaos on this restart as opposed to the initial start. Was that somewhat due to the mixed tire strategy? Some with more grip, some with less grip, able to make different kinds of moves. We'll have to see as this race goes on and as strategies continue to play out if more chaos ensues.
Just so tough there. And again, with these Indy cars, they are more sensitive for shifting than perhaps any car with the clutch. And if there's any damage, sometimes it can really just bite you. So very unfortunate there for Colin Fern, a Championship 4 contender last year, trying to get back on the stage, which was announced earlier today. We'll see if he's able to do it as Adam Cabot doesn't waste any time in the middle of 3 and 4, launches, green flag is out. And we'll see if I think there might be a lane change rule, and I don't know if somebody we may have seen there further on back in the field may have changed lanes. Nevertheless, we'll let race control deal with that. Right now, it is Adam Cabot, your leader, out of turn number 2.
And no word from race control right now. We are getting reports, though, from Jacob Pitts that Fern is still stuck in his box, so he won't be able to move, and he is basically 3 laps down and more. It is just unbelievable here. Jacob, I mean, this has to be a ballad of bad luck. He had the problems in the Championship 4 race in February where he overshot his stall, lost the championship that way, and now he has to do with this, potentially being eliminated from the round of 7.
Well, and drivers are trying to tech support right now over the radio. He is stuck in the box. What he told everybody is that it's not the fast repair deal. He is parked at a bad angle in his pit box, and it will not let him move. It will not let him try and adjust that so he can get in his box straight so they can work on it. He physically cannot move the car. He's asking if he can get disqualified. Maybe that'll fix it. They've already tried that with James Bickford earlier on this year. That didn't really solve the problem. So I think Colin Fern might just be in a must-win or very close to a must-win situation at Atlanta next week. Heartbreak for the driver of the 86, and for him, this place must be cursed.
It must be, and that's what they're going to do. They just disqualified Colin Fern. Now they're going to clear his black flag and hope that that allows him to load back into the session. And again, meanwhile, they are continuing to roll along. There's no free waiver rounds. He'd have to do it the old-fashioned way, or at least get the lucky dog, which they are running in this race. But now he is 5 laps down. He is still not loaded back onto the racetrack. So just major implications that may put him on his heels and put him in a must-win situation when they go to the next-gen cars at Atlanta. And it looks like they're actually now having issues with clearing his flag. So yeah, they can't unclear his black flag, so he is done for the night.
That is unbelievable there for the 86 of Colin Fern, running so well to start, and then just the one crash, the one hiccup, and then trying to get back to pit road to utilize the fast repair. The car gets stuck, and basically now, like you said, Blake, he's in a must-win situation going into Atlanta, and it's going to be ultimately a huge California mountain for the 86 to overcome. By the time we get to next week to get back into the Championship 4, they are still tussling for the race lead. 2 playoff drivers at it, Presley Sora, Adam Cabot, and how about the 97? How about SVG? Shane Van Gisbergen started 32nd, and guess where he is? Into the top 3. How many times have we seen this from the Auckland, New Zealand native?
We've seen it just too much. When he starts in the back, we know that he is going to be up front in relative short order. You can see how he's doing it, just poking that nose out, getting a little bit of clean air, taking those runs. Right behind him is Ryan Vargas, who made an interesting point in our pre-race show. He was talking about how Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets aren't actually chicken nuggets. He was saying, oh, well, they're just chicken tenders that are just chopped up into the size of chicken nuggets. I would like to counter. Isn't that every chicken nugget? I mean, if we're just being honest here, that's my counter argument there. I don't know how much salt that carries, but at least that's what I think in this whole debate.
I think the whole differentiation is the effort. After he said that it was just chopped chicken at that point, he said that Chick-fil-A was a little lazy. So, I think it's all the effort there on the chicken nuggets. As here comes Adam Cabot back to the inside on Presley Sora. He's a look on board for Bailey Curry, who's done a nice job picking his way through the field. So is a majority of this top 5, top 10. And you could just watch the chaos unfolding from the different lines, the understeer, the dirty air, the momentum out of the corners. And it's going to help Presley Sora get back to the inside as they're 3 wide around the top 5.
Well, and by the way, unfortunately disconnecting from the server, he can order some chicken nuggets if he so wants it. Colin Fern is your winner of the last place DoorDash award for tonight's race. So if he wants a little bit of comfort food, I guess he can do that with $25 being awarded to the last place finisher. He has left and disconnected from the server. So unfortunate there for him. As you get an onboard shot of Devin Henry right now, currently riding in 14th. See just one car directly in front of him as he is running about in the mid part of the pack. You can see him scattered everywhere and in a good spot. A little bit of communication going on for that 077 machine.
Yeah, nice to see Devin Henry. I always like the stance that he has. Very close up to the wheel, very focused with his chair there as he goes into turn 1 and stuck in traffic right now. Justin Malillo, he's got a nice view of basically everybody right in front of him, what he has to deal with, what kind of intensity he's working with. Maybe he's going to try and push this 53 up to the front so they can cling back to the likes of Shieldhouse, who's holding onto that last spot in the first pack, P12, going into turns 3 and 4. We'll just see what happens there with Devin Henry, whether he's able to make some more progress. They're still single file up near the front of the field. And now here comes Adam Cabot. Huge run out of 4. Will push him to the inside, turn 1. And he will have Bailey Curry to follow. Huge send in the first corner.
More trouble further on back in the pack for Anthony Alfredo. We may have to go back and take a look at that. Lap 36 off of turn 2. He just had an absolutely wicked save. Was able to keep it rolling in the right direction. Unfortunately, though, it is going to cost him the draft once again. So Anthony Alfredo, who had a moment, we're going to see it one more time right here. Through turn 2. Big slide.
Wow.
Keeps it going straight, doesn't have an issue, but the issue is he's lost the draft once again, and that is going to continue to cost him time yet again.
Back in the same spot he was, Blake, to start this race, where he was basically on pit road, had to tow it from the grid on the back straightaway. And we talk about a lot of the roughness of this Auto Club Speedway. I talked about it when we were doing for the track facts, just how intense the bumps are and how this asphalt is way different from the other 2-mile D-shaped oval that we had, Michigan International Speedway, earlier this season. You have a lot of oscillation around this racetrack, and these cars are very sensitive to yaw. We talk about how sensitive the next-gen car is to yaw. Well, that is nothing compared to these DeLauro IR18s. You get them a little bit sideways, you'll try to save it, but it will not respond to your call at all. It would just rip itself around, especially on the seams where these bumps really get to the bottom end and destroy the floorboard. So it happened with Anthony Alfredo right there. It looked like it happened with Cabot, and more trouble here. Garrett Smithley, broken suspension going into turn 1.
You can see right there as he limps along, it was contact with the wall off of turn 4. He scraped the apron in 3 and 4, and honestly, I'm quite shocked at what happened because he drove into the wall on the straightaway. So I don't know if he got suspension damage when his car slammed the ground. We're going to see it one more time. Through turns 3 and 4, you can see the left side, scraped the apron a little bit. He gets out of shape, but then he's just going to kind of he's just going to drive straight into the wall, so I don't know if the damage came from hitting the ground there, and obviously after that he's out of control, but a very strange situation there. Now Smithley has to kind of deal with what Fern had going for him and try to get that fast repair. It looks like the car is rolling now, but Smithley going to lose time. So these drivers really ill handling out here at Auto Club.
And Jacob talked about it at the pre-race show. Blake, the weight jacker, the way you have to sort of adjust that to make sure your car can be as loose or as tight as you want it here at this Auto Club Speedway. We've had some drivers have problems with that. I recall immediately, Season 3, Indianapolis, a lot of guys suffered with the weight jacker, either being a little bit too loose or the car being too tight, basically spinning the car out of the corner or slamming into the outside wall. For Smithley, I'm not sure whether it was a weight jacker issue. Looked like he got a little bit tight coming out of turn 4. It was just a weird drift up to the outside wall. We'll keep tabs of Smithley as he's going to be another driver put one lap down. That leaves us with 24 cars on the lead lap. You're right on board with James Bickford, he's been struggling a little bit with his Dallara IR18 as of late, falling back to 7th. These guys, Blake, really having to deal with the changes of the track and the change of the car with this weight jacker. It's not fun to deal with, it looks like.
It seems as though they're being challenged as much as they have all season, trying to find grip out there, Jacob.
Yeah, and just listening into Anthony Alfredo's radio after his big slide, then Garrett Smithley had his problems. David Shieldhouse, they're all in a group chat together through Discord, all in the voice chat. And after a little bit, after the issue with Smithley, they started talking about where they have their weight jackers at and where their control is at right now in the race car. So may not have been a direct cause for Garrett Smithley's incident, but certainly had an impact, sparking a little bit of conversation between the rest of the guys that are in that group, kind of, all right, well, here's where I'm at, well, here's where I'm at. Not the same numbers being thrown around, different fields, different parts on the racetrack, different amount of traffic that these guys are in. That's going to cause their weight jacker numbers to shift and change throughout the night.
And unfortunately, Garrett Smithley was excited about bringing a new sponsor here tonight. Unfortunately, not going to see the end of this one. He has retired and looks as though he will finish in the 30th position. Noah Lewis is disconnected as well. We have a fair amount of drivers who are a lap down. You can see it on the left-hand side of your screen. 25th on down, Brandon Brown, Michael Massey, Case Collenbach, Nick Olson, Brett Baldeck. 2 or more laps down, and then you have Garrett Smithley, Noah Lewis, and Colin Fern, 3 early DNFs here on lap 45 of this 110-lap affair. Big issues on the front straightaway. Case Collenbach got really loose, saved it, but we'll keep it going. He's one of those drivers we were just talking about, is 2 laps down. Robbie Lyons was in the fence, so these drivers really struggling with this car, Kenneth.
Yeah, and he's limping it going into turn 1. Looks like DJ Cummings might have got into him and sent him up into the outside wall. Cummings just got a little bit too tight coming out of turn 4, washed up the track, slightly tapped the 2 of Lyons, and Lyons is limping the car on the apron. I'm not sure whether race control is going to call this a yellow flag or not, because they're battling for the lead, closing up on the 704 native, still side by side for the lead. Lyons on the apron. They're going to clear it without any issues. Here's a look at the replay for the Grit Esports number 2 machine. And Lyons running way up high in the 14 degrees of banking. We talked about the different lines you could take here. Cummings get a little bit tight. The understeer kicking in on the 10. And right there, just sends Lyons into the wall and nothing that he could do. He's continuing to limp in. Like we talked about, Blake, drivers being put 1 lap down. Add Robbie Lyons to the list of those drivers.
So what may turn out to be an attrition race without necessarily the yellows with it. Up front, you have 4 cars that are really broken away from the field. How about Bailey Curry out of JD Motorsports will take the top spot for the time being? As you can see, really just your 4 cars that have been a part of this breakaway. You see Curry up front in that pink machine. Presley Sora in second, or excuse me, that is Shane Van Gisbergen, who currently runs in second. Then you have Ryan Vargas, who was up in the mix as well. And Vargas, by the way, going to have a big run at Bailey Curry. They'll go side by side. So JD Motorsports showing strong here at the front of the field. Is Curry a huge slide? And my goodness, he can't save it. Caution is out. I thought he had it collected, and he did all but that. But unfortunately, a couple of cars rolling along. It looks like it tagged James Bickford and gives him some damage. Caution is out, and my goodness, Curry just about had that thing collected up, but unfortunately could not gather it at the last moment.
This kind of reminds me of the incident with Will Rogers in 3 and 4. Ran the inside, ran the seam. There's a lot of bumps down there, so the oscillation really tosses around this IR18. And then sideways when Curry looked like he had it saved it for at least the first 5 or so seconds. And then as he drifts up the track, comes back down, James Bickford makes contact, and then around Bailey Curry went a huge shunt to what's been a fantastic run for Curry. The JD esports driver. Let's look at Justin Melillo. He got tagged in as well. He went spinning on the apron, back straightaway. And it's just, again, another problem with the weight jacker. Here's a look at more contact. This is how Melillo got hit with Will Rogers and company. And more drivers only piling in. That weight jacker issue only becoming more prevalent. Drivers getting loose on the bottom of the racetrack. Drivers understeering at the top of the racetrack. It has been a huge challenge, and it causes another caution at lap 50.
Well, again, an issue with a driver who was in clean air. We've seen that a number of times so far tonight as these drivers fighting a little bit loose right now. So at least hearing some numbers on the weight jacker. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the weight jacker, you essentially want to go up if you're tight. That'll make the car looser. You want to go down to a negative number if you're loose. And right now we're hearing some drivers in the range of about a -8 or -10 is what we're hearing from some drivers. So fighting a loose condition over the long run as you see pit stops coming down as we are just short of halfway. We will be right back for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries as we continue to roll along from the Auto Club Speedway.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Anthony Alfredo to the outside. Cabot tries to block. Give the momentum to the 23. Here comes David Shieldhouse on the bottom with a huge push from Garrett Smithley.
Down onto the inside of the racetrack. Cabot goes ahead. They touch going into turn 3. Still even for the championship lead.
And Adam Cabot crosses the line for the Magic Man to have his magic moment.
And going up against some of the biggest names in motorsports, how many people do you know have the chance to do that? What's that emotion like?
Yeah, I know one person. He's standing right here. So, I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Hey everybody, Kyle Busch here. Be sure to grab your tickets for the Monday Night Racing Championship Night. Grab them today.
Back with you here from the Auto Club Speedways. These drivers have just completed pit stops in our third caution flag of the night. As you can see the announcement right there, live in the Charlotte Esports Hub, we will be crowning a Season 5 champion in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. You can look online for your tickets to that event. It is fun. You'll meet sim racers from all across the world and that have made their way down to Charlotte. I remember attending that event in January, and boy, it was just so nice to put some names with some faces from the sim racing community. But Jacob, real quick before we go green, what you got?
So kind of topsy-turvy from what we had after the first stops at lap number 20. The only guy in the playoffs that took 4 tires, well, there were 2 of them, Ryan Vargas and Presley Sora. This time around, flip-flop for the most part. David Shieldhouse, Anthony Alfredo, Adam Cabot, James Bickford, all taking 4 tires, as well as Ryan Vargas. Vargas only has 1 more set of freshies down on pit road. Fuel only for Presley Sora. He's got the lead headed to turn 1.
And boy, that is an interesting call right there. We'll see how it shakes out. I like having fresh tires. I don't know how I feel about only having 1 more set for the next 55 laps. We're not even halfway through this race yet. They look almost 4 wide for the race lead. There you can see the tires starting to pay a big advantage for Ryan Vargas off of turn 4. The draft will pull him back. Some moves, some blocks being made. Vargas, your top runner. Then you got Stolnick, Bickford, Kinnon, and Sora all battling toe-to-toe behind him.
and despite the risk, Blake, I think this call might have just worked for Vargas. Yes, the draft is going to pull these drivers in, but in the corners is where Vargas has the most leeway to get away from the field. Never mind on that, as here comes the 41 inside for the race lead. Turn 3, here comes Max Kennan riding the very top of the 14 degrees of making. They're still 3 wide around the top 3, top 5. But Matt Stolnick looks like he's going to run away. Ryan Vargas at the cusp of being passed by James Bigford and company. Top 6 or so wrapped underneath the blanket.
Big move down to the bottom. You see James Bickford able to go for the lead. David Shieldhouse, we haven't talked about him much tonight, but he has quietly found his way up towards the top 10. A pretty stock run, I'd say, for your pick, Eric Estep and David Shieldhouse. That isn't always the driver of conversation early on in these races, but he just always seems to find his way up front towards the end of these deals.
He's made a habit of it these last 4 weeks, up to 6th place now, dicing it up with the leaders. But I want to talk for a moment about Anthony Alfredo, who just made a pass for 9th, actually now moving up to 8th here in real time. Anthony Alfredo was not up to speed on lap 1. He nearly spun out just before that caution we saw, and yet somehow, I don't know what tire strategy he's on, he's in the top 10. I'd be curious to know how many sets he has left. Is he in the same boat as Vargas, or is he maybe a little better situated?
I think he's in a great spot. He has fresher tires, does David Shieldhouse. He even just said, quote, tires feel very good. So quickly picking his way through the field. And you can look at the left-hand side of your screen there, Kenneth. I think that is why these drivers are the playoff contenders. You can see a lot of green up at the front of this field. Oh, trouble further on back. Somebody got awfully loose. They kept it going straight, but that low car, I believe it was Seth Eggert, but he collects it back up. But nevertheless, you look and see on the left-hand side of your screen, 6 drivers in the top 9 right now trying to compete for that championship.
And it's a phenomenon that you see is Shieldhouse will thread it 4 wide for the lead in a turn 1. Apologies there, we're going to touch back on the points, but they almost about touched each other going into the first corner, almost about wrecked. But somehow David Shieldhouse emerges as P1. They're 3 wide. Shieldhouse is going to try to block on the 41. It's going to work in a turn 3. But you look at the point standings there and the amount of drivers into the top 10. And this is a phenomenon that happens like a lot in these playoffs, especially here in Monday Night Racing. A lot of the guys who run for the championship start to really pick things up. Even if they had some lows in the regular season, they start to ignore all of that. They pick up the ride of the momentum. And here they are, a lot of them fighting for the win of the race and to enter themselves into the championship for the Carolina Esports Hub in just a couple of weeks' time. 2 playoff drivers gunning at it for the lead. How about 3? Ryan Vargas in the backside into turn 3.
Testing every single lane at this racetrack, and I know 4 wide is contentious, but if you ask me, I see 5 lanes out there. You can make it 5 wide. I'd love to see that. Oh man, a big move by Matt Stolnick rather, gets shut down by David Shieldhouse. They'll go 3 wide. Huge run further on back was Presley Sora, who I'm kind of shocked here, Jacob, that Presley is on the older tires. He loses all that ground in the corners, but yet on the straightaways with that draft, he's at least able to maintain, he's able to hang on while they're battling like this.
And that just shows how strong he is in these Indy cars right now. And, you know, maybe as this run goes on, those tires will start to even out compared to his and the rest of the field. But he's got to make sure that he avoids the wreck if it does happen. These guys are brawling like there's 5 to go up here at the front. Almost contact between Vargas and Alfredo, Blake.
Golly, Alfredo moved up the racetrack, and they nearly hit the 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers, nearly got into it. They stay off of each other. Alfredo will look to the middle of the racetrack. Now, again, he's on those fresh tires, gets a little bit of dirty air in front of him from David Shieldhouse. Vargas will still try to run up top, but now Alfredo, huge run in the middle, as Stolnick will move to the outside of David Shieldhouse for the lead. Alfredo looking to try to go to piece of it himself, but can't quite find a hole, at least right now, to try to make that work.
He was forced in a box going into turn 1, but luckily he clears the 29, and now here he goes inside 3 wide for the race lead into turn 3. There's some lap traffic up ahead, but it looks like it's not going to be that big of a factor. New race leader Anthony Alfredo coming out of turn 4 in the Roasted Gems Coffee 110. And you would look at this scene, Blake, and you wouldn't suspect that Alfredo would have had problems at the start of this race. Parked his car at the exit of turn 2 on the apron, and look at him fighting for the lead as DJ Cummings goes to the inside and he takes it all away.
Alfredo would be a newcomer in terms of being a part of the championship four should he secure a win here tonight. And like you said, very difficult to imagine when we were talking about the very beginning of the race. Alfredo did not even take the green flag with the rest of the field with a, we'll call it a mechanical issue, a wheel issue, sim issue, whatever you want to call it. But here he is battling at the front of the field after driving all the way through it, and he now has control of this top spot. Contact further on back. David Shieldhouse into the side of Shane Van Gisbergen. No trouble, though. Shieldhouse not happy, but they will... That's all there is. Just some unhappy drivers that comes out of that. Big move to the bottom. 3 wide for the race lead. That's Matt Stallnecht in the 41.
And you can tell now, Blake, the discrepancy in the tires, how much these drivers gain in the corners, and then how the momentum ends up panning out once they exit turn 4 and when they come out of turn 2, the front and the back straightaway. Here comes Anthony Alfredo to the inside of the 41. He'll follow in the tracks of the 10 going into the first corner. He'll take a different line. But ultimately, the tires are starting to work to a lot of these guys' favor, and especially for guys like Shane Van Gisbergen, he's trying to pick his way through the field and use as much momentum as possible, but the speed difference is just so big that nobody really knows what to do. You have drivers backing out, the close moments, and ultimately that's what's creating this accordion effect, everybody coming back into the fight when sometimes it looks like they're out of it. Here comes Alfredo to reach back for the lead, and he does so, going back to turn 1 with 44 to go.
I love how aggressive, I love how late you have to make these moves, because at the end of the day, you want all the draft from that car in front of you until you get right to them. So you see a lot of darting moves, a lot of drivers making that plunge to the inside at the last moment, trying to use all that speed, all that momentum, that slipstream, I guess we could say that, being an IndyCar, that it provides you. We're also starting to see a lot of drivers really pushing up off of the corner as these tires continue to wear, and more drivers trying to run that top side to avoid pushing up. It's very easy, Kenneth, if you get some dirty air on the bottom, to push up and get really tight. If you're on the outside wall, it's a little easier to get that car to turn, even if you have somebody in front of you.
And that banking obviously helps as well. The 14 degrees at the very top, as here comes the 41 of Stallnecht back inside for the race lead. He's been one of my biggest concerns because he's doing this right there where you see at a turn 4, he goes to the very bottom, makes the pass, but he washes up the track. That right front starting to screen just a little bit, especially if we enter a long run and we don't get a caution to splice things up to the end of this race. We may see that understeer effect only get exacerbated along with the dirty air, these drivers crossing each other over, and it's only getting worse for the drivers trying to work that very bottom groove and to swerve in front of the competition to get back to the race lead. Alfredo will have another challenge from DJ Cummings. Cummings will work the bottom. He'll switch over and give the 23 some of the dirty air for a moment. And here comes Ryan Vargas outside in the 41, 3 wide, and he shuffles to third.
Oh, contact is one driver into the outside wall on the front straightaway. It is Max Kinnon, who I was just about to talk about, his kind of tread back up through the field, but nevertheless, no damage on that 21 car, just a little bit of lost pride, I suppose, and he got really tight off at turn 2 there as well. I hope that that didn't hurt him.
Oh, they're looking for the lead. And at turn 3, they made contact about going 3 wide. Vargas had hit Alfredo, and those are 2 playoff drivers, Blake, in trouble. Outside wall, turn 3.
And that was at the very front of the field as Alfredo, Vargas, and DJ Cummings come to a point entering turn 3. We'll see how it develops one more time. You see Alfredo going to make the move to the middle 3 wide. Vargas is not prepared for that. And the rest of the field, it could have been a much worse wreck that collected more cars, but 2 major playoff contenders wrapped up in that one, Jacob.
There we go. That's a 2.5-minute tow for Anthony Alfredo. Both front wheels broken on the car. He has to tow it 2.5 minutes. That's going to put him at least 1 lap down. He'll use his fast repair. As for Ryan Vargas, he tows it as well. He's going to be sitting with probably a 2.5-minute tow. Both drivers going to be laps down once they get back out on the racetrack. They'll both wind up using their fast repair, but disaster for the playoff drivers and Anthony Alfredo. As soon as they were done wrecking, came over the radio and said, you can't set a pick on somebody like that. Just after he was talking with David Shieldhouse and Garrett Smithley, well, I guess Garrett's maybe not there anymore, but talking with Shieldhouse on if they're side by side coming to the line, you're going to want to make a move and try and make it 3 wide. You're going to catch them in a hurry. Well, talking a little bit too much about the end of the race, as pit road is a very busy place. I'm surprised everybody's going to pit now. We're still 40 laps out from the end of this race. They're going to be pushing it as far as fuel is concerned, but everybody is headed to their box. And it looks like for the most part with these guys, as they hit their boxes for maybe the last time, some of them are going to try to make it their last time at least, guys are going to stick with tires for the most part. Brandon Brown is going to take fuel only, just 5 seconds in the box. Bailey Turner wins the race off pit road. He takes 4 tires. So does David Shieldhouse, Matt Stalnick, James Bickford, and others. Gabe Wood, Seth Eggert taking fuel only on this pit stop.
A lot changing on this pit stop again. I'm sure that's not what Ryan Vargas, who only has 1 set left, wanted to see. Wants this race to go through to the end. Interstate batteries are built to top industry standards and has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all Battery Center franchise stores. Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable. And Erica, I wanted to throw this point to you because it's been pretty calm for most of our playoff drivers as they've gone through the round of 13, through the round of 10. We're now at the round of 7. There hasn't been a whole lot of trouble for most of these front runners. You can see the points on the right-hand side of your screen, but now that we're down to just 7, we have 2 races left before the championship 4. We're seeing a lot of mistakes, uncharacteristic of what a lot of these drivers have done all season. I wonder if this is kind of some added pressure now that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Absolutely, Blake. No, I think there's added pressure. I think there's maybe some unfamiliarity with these cars. Not exactly sure what happened on that crash there. Alfredo saying Vargas was trying to use the leader Cummings as a pick. Maybe a difference of opinion there. I know there are a lot of disappointed Anthony Alfredo fans in the live chat here on YouTube who know that his chances of winning this race certainly have taken a big hit. But yeah, you look at that points grid right above me there. I haven't seen these kinds of numbers. Minus 13, minus 18, minus 32. We have not seen those kinds of deficits these first couple rounds. So a lot of drivers going to be in close to must-win territory next week at this rate, Blake.
Well, certainly Colin Fern is, and we'll see if Ryan Vargas or Anthony Alfredo can recover. They both are 1 lap down, perhaps 2 when they cross the stripe. We'll see it when timing and scoring updates here in a little bit, exactly where they stand. But big differences here in that point gap. Of course, if you're in a pretty good spot, but a large deficit right now for Alfredo Vargas and Fern. You have to wonder if things don't change very quickly. It is looking like must-win territory for one of these drivers. But still a lot of time left in this race, just under 40 laps to go. It'll be 38 when they cross the stripe this time. Bailey Turner, he cycled through to the race lead. Green flag back out here at Auto Club. You have David Shieldhouse, Matt Stalnick, and Brandon Brown in tow.
It's the first time, like, we see the 5, Bailey Turner, the Cabot Esports entry in the race lead. He was hanging around his teammate in the 17 in the mid-pack in that last run, but now here he is, sworn by the pack. Here comes Shieldhouse to the inside. Brandon Brown almost looked down there. Here comes the 41 for a potential pass for second. He will clear in a turn 3, and what we're seeing, Blake, on result of that points gap all the way on the right side of your screen, it's been a game of mistakes this entire playoffs. If you're not consistent, or if you fall short with a mistake, whether it's contact with another driver or a faulty pit strategy, this is where you may end up, and that's going to be a large mountain for all of those guys, 3 of them to climb below that cut line next week at Atlanta if things do not improve drastically here from Auto Club.
And one piece of trouble further on back in the pack, it was Chris Wilner, the Motor Racing Network, moved up and looks like had a little bit of contact there with Robbie Lyons, who already used his fast repair. So Lyons going to pull it down, pull off the racetrack. So Lyons is done in this race, as Wilner looks like he got a little bit tight right there. Lyons had nowhere to go, so unfortunate there. No caution though, as Lyons just hit the wall. got some damage, but didn't spin out. David Shieldhouse right now back to the front of the field, would lock himself onto the championship stage if these results were to hold. Bailey Turner, how about a run out of that number 5 group? Very strong as he has worked his way up, much like Shane Van Gisbergen, without putting down a qualifying time, started 31st and is now battling up here for the race lead.
Indeed, it's been a huge charge up through the field for the driver of this 5 as you watch James Bickford, the pole sitter, go to the inside on David Shieldhouse for second. He's been walking that bottom group for the past couple laps on through with 35 laps to go. Shieldhouse back to the inside, but Bailey Turner has been patient. He's been riding through the field, has been able to get away from a lot of the mayhem here tonight at Auto Club, and this is where he stands in potentiality to get his first ever M&R Pro Series win, and he can follow in the likes of his Cabot Esports teammate Adam Cabot getting a win, or getting his first win in an IndyCar. They're almost 3 wide, in fact they are, and here's the teammate Adam Cabot inside for second.
Cabot making the charge, and he's got to run right here off of turn number 2 to try and get the race lead, but he runs out of draft. He gives it to Shieldhouse. He gives it to Soar as well. Spinner on the back straightaway. It is DJ Cummings off the racetrack and out of the racing groove. No pun intended there, but Cummings slams into the inside wall. It looks like he may get away without too much damage, but we'll see exactly where that contact originated. It was Shane Van Gisbergen just ran him over on the back straightaway, spins him out, but out of the racing groove, no caution.
It's tough there for DJ Cummings, running so well for this race. We talk about Crypto Autosport, how they've had a force here in the front of the field, the likes of the 41 Matt Stonick. He's done well also in tonight's race as he still racks up the top 5. There's a crash near the rear of the field. Steve Alfont, Justin Malillo hard into the outside wall. More cars
Vargas is in it
as well.
Big implications here as there were several spinners up in turn 3. Then some drivers came piling in later as Case Collenbach ran the heck over Ryan Vargas. And then
That's
you had
a
Chris
teammate.
Milner join it as well. Yeah, teammates. They're going to have to go to the shop tomorrow. I mean, that's not going to be a fun meeting.
Vargas called out the crash. He braked for the crash. The guys behind him didn't. Both Wilner and Kallenbach piled into the back of him. That's going to be race done for Ryan Vargas. He already used his fast repair. That's going to be the night for the 6. He's going to be back against the wall, similar to the penultimate race from a season ago when he had to win at Nashville, and he did it. He's going to be in the same spot next week at Atlanta. Heartbreak for Ryan Vargas. Anthony Alfredo scoots by, and with the contact, it's going to be Nick Olson, I believe. No, it is Malillo that's going to get the free pass instead. A lot of lap traffic. Alfredo 2 laps down, remember. So there is a lot of implications for Alfredo to get back on the lead lap. Remember, no more waiver rounds.
What a tough act right there. It all kind of started with Steve Alfont checked up. I think Bailey Curry and he almost got together. Nick Olson gets into the back of Alfont, and then Alfont tries to get off the racetrack. He's clearly damaged. He knows he's out of the way. Well, guess what? Justin Malillo was down there because he thought they were crashing. So he went down to the apron. So Alfont moves in front of Malillo. Malillo sends Alfont up the racetrack. That's the initial wreck that started everything. And then you had the secondary crash where Vargas slowed down. The rest of the field didn't. And now you see them working off of pit road. So a very interesting situation right there that likely will help some drivers in the playoffs. Jacob.
Everybody on pit road taking fuel for the most part. A couple taking tires. Got to check on one guy. It's Adam Cabot. Take a look at his pit stop. 8 seconds in the box. Most others only 4 seconds. Cabot does indeed take 4 tires. That's his last set. He is out of fresh, Firestone tires for the driver of the 17. Presley Sora still has 1 set left. So does David Shieldhouse. Got to check on Anthony Alfredo. He did not pit, so he may wind up getting a lap back, but he obviously still has 1 set left. James Bickford, driver of the 29, looks like he may have used his last set here as well. So he's going to be out of fresh tires, and obviously the incident for Vargas, he's going to be out of this one. So some playoff guys still sitting on a set of tires just in case. we get another late race caution and they can cash in the free rubber.
And actually, Anthony Alfredo going to get the lucky dog, as he was the furthest driver up in the field that was a lap down that was not involved in the caution. So rather than just denying a lucky dog, they scroll down the field. So going to be some happy, fast Pasta fans out there in the chat, as Anthony Alfredo, who has had probably one of the longest nights here at Auto Club Speedway, will get back on the lead lap and back in contention for the rest of this race. You can see how much that's going to help him as you look at the playoff standings, with troubles befalling Ryan Vargas and Colin Fern. I believe that is the end of the night for Ryan Vargas, as he has already used a fast repair. He's 2 laps down. That situation is going to get worse. There's probably going to be some drivers that end up passing Vargas here. He may lose about 4 or 5 more spots. So Vargas may be in trouble here of losing more points. So with 30 laps to go, the championship 4 starting to take shape. It is looking like Ryan Vargas and Colin Fern going to be entering Atlanta in perhaps a must-win situation to compete for the championship once again. Again, those are 2 drivers that were a part of that championship battle last season, so perhaps the door opening for the likes of James Bickford and Presley Sora to join Shieldhouse and Cabot. Still a long ways to go here. It'll be 29 laps left when we get the green flag in this one. David Shieldhouse waiting a little bit later than what we've seen tonight, but he has control of the restart. There he goes. And green flag is back out here at Auto Club. 29 laps to go. Sora in chase, and he may have just gotten a black flag. He may have changed lanes a little too early before the start-finish line.
Yeah, there may be some trouble there. I think top 7 have all ran away with a blanket. Everybody 8th on back, struggling to get some speed here and draft as they go side by side around the top 3. Sora falling back. Here comes Bailey Turner to the inside. Mendoza does say that the restart is under review, so race control will look at it one more time and assess any penalties if need be. Hopefully everybody stays clear as always. Here comes Shieldhouse, a move to the outside, and he almost makes contact with the rear diffuser of Bailey Turner. Almost a huge send into turn 1.
And again, Turner throwing a vicious block on David Shieldhouse up at the front of the field. We haven't really seen that up to this point. Now Shieldhouse going to go to the bottom, 3 wide, as he'll take the top spot once again. I was a little behind and watching off into turn 1. Turner throw that block. We will still hear word, because at least by the naked eye, Jacob, it looked like perhaps an early move down to the bottom for Presley Sora, and how that would shake things up and perhaps move Alfredo back into the championship 4 picture.
That would have big implications if he did indeed jump. Now, I don't believe there is any sort of lane regulation here with this restart. It's kind of a you go and then you're off to the races. I'm not 100% sure. I believe I heard somebody say that earlier. We'll just have to wait and see, because he was not the only one that did it. Matt Stallneck also blended straight into line right behind as well. So I think what Presley Sora did was legal. I believe it was more things at the back of the field. I know Anthony Alfredo got a black flag initially and then gave those spots back. It was given a black flag by iRacing. Obviously, they looked at it, or they're still looking at it. He gave those spots back anyway just to be safe. I think we're all good. We'll get an official word from Josh Mendoza here in a little bit.
We'll await that, but while we wait, there's still a lot of battling going on at the front of the field. David Shieldhouse, Bailey Turner, Presley Sora. See Matt Stallneck up here all night. It's good to see. And then how about Ford Martin? Kind of cracking his way up into the top 5. It's something that, we haven't seen as much since the preseason Thunder, which he won all the way back at the beginning of the season, the kind of exhibition preliminary event to the Monday Night Racing Pro Series for Season 5. Ford Martin was your victor. Hasn't quite had the same luck so far this season, but he's up here in contention, running up towards the top 7 in the with the end of this thing. Is once again, name of the game, 3 wide again at the front of the field.
And Shieldhouse knows ahead into turn 1 for the race lead, but it turns back to my point about Crypto Autosport turning the tide. DJ Cummings, how good he's been tonight, unfortunately got caught in that incident on the back straightaway entering turn 3, but the 41 Astonic, he's been good all night. Ford Martin is picking his way into the picture. So is Mark Rabillas in the 90 through 99. Haven't talked too much about his Bitcoin-looking machine. He's been up at the front of the field as well. So, watch for Crypto Autosport. They've been very solid here from Auto Club as a couple of drivers will hit pit road. One of them, Bailey Curry in the 05.
And major implications, Jacob, somebody having to come down pit road to serve a penalty.
That's Anthony Alfredo jumping the start. The deal is that you cannot go until the green flag is displayed in sim. And once the leader goes, that's when... Okay, so just getting this clarified, it's about changing lanes. You cannot change lanes until the green flag comes out. You can change lanes before the start-finish line as long as the green flag is out. Anthony Alfredo did not do that. He changed lanes before the green flag was out, before the green light came on along the outside of the racetrack here. Anthony Alfredo, he had trouble at the beginning with his wheel. He's already used his fast repair after the crash on lap 70. And now a penalty for the driver of the 23, and he is barely one lap down, and he's going to need a lot of cautions to get himself back on the lead lap because caution.
He just got one out of turn number 4. Trouble on the front straightaway. Devin Henry is stopped, and that may have been his big break. You can see Mark Rabillas there as well involved in that one. It looks like DJ Cummings got a piece of that as well, as we are eliminating cars at a fast pace here. That's one thing about these Indy cars. You get a little bit of damage, you're pretty much done, and we are seeing a number of cars take early exits here. You can see somebody just drives right into the back of that car in front of them. I believe that was Mark Rabillas. I think Henry got a little tight, and Rabillas just wasn't able to lift for him in time. See, once again, from DJ Cummings' point of view, which, by the way, that caution saved Alfredo by perhaps a lap or so from going another lap down. So as much as Alfredo has had a long night, that was a lucky break right there.
I think as soon as Alfredo has a setback, he finally gets his foot forward and then another setback. It's been a cycle all over tonight here in this Roasted Gems Coffee 110, but it's just a difference in line, Blake, right there. The 99 of Rabillas trying to cut down on the exit of turn 4. Devin Henry utilizing the bottom from the very jump, so he washes up the track, and they just both collide at the worst possible time. But Jacob, we've got takers down pit road with 21 to go.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're getting as many takers as we are. Adam Cabot stays out. Now, Cabot has already used his 3 sets, so he has no tires that he can put on. That's why he stays out. George Belfans Jr. might be in the same boat. Everybody else is on pit road. David Shieldhouse, 4 tires and gasoline. Same with Max Kennan. Same with Brandon Brown, Shane Van Gisbergen. Everybody that's on pit road is using their last set of tires or a set of tires right here, trying to take these tires all the way to the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see how Belfans and Cabot hang on out in front with the freshies right behind them for these last 20 or so laps.
A lot going on here at Auto Club Speedway. I want to talk about how we're proud to partner with Next Level Racing, a proud partner of Monday Night Racing. Founded in 2009, Next Level Racing is the world's leading simulation brand, revolutionizing sim racing with its industry-leading product range. Visit nextlevelracing.com for more information. We're proud for all of the exciting things that are going to be happening for Monday Night Racing with Next Level Racing as we continue to look forward towards the future. But Eric will bring you in once again. As much drama as we've had this season, I don't know if we've had a race where more is constantly going on, constantly changing this playoff picture like we've seen tonight.
Well, the chat's noticed a lot of what you guys noticed about Anthony Alfredo. It's been a lot of, 1 step forward, 2 steps back tonight. He's still, as of right now, only 9 points below that cut line, below James Bickford. And we've seen Bickford in the top 5, top 10. He's currently 7th, lined up 7th for this restart, but he hasn't really been in contention to win. So there's still a chance for Alfredo to make up a few more points. I'm looking at this battle up front. Adam Cabot, George Belfans with no tires. They put their last set on about 5-10 laps ago. David Shieldhouse, who's come on strong here in the second half of this race. He's got 4 fresh runs. He's already won 2 playoff races. He was my pick tonight. boy, it's hard not to look past that 20 car.
It certainly is. That pick's looking better and better by the lap as we get towards the end of this thing, which, of course, you never know. But even without a victory tonight, with a lot of issues befalling the rest of our round of 7 contenders, you'd have to think that David Shieldhouse feeling pretty good about the situation he's in right now, even if he were to not get a win right now. Now, Adam Cabot at the front of this field, there's going to be a lot made about that because he is not going to have fresh tires for the rest of this race, whether we have green, white checkers or whatnot. So he has got to make those Firestone tires, as they are here in IndyCar, hang on throughout the rest of this race. We're also hearing James Bickford as well, one of your Championship 4 contenders. Fuel only for him. Anthony Alfredo is right now the first car 1 lap down. So if he can catch another caution, he can get back on the lead lap and try to make up some more spots. But for now, he pretty much just has to ride around and hope that they wreck again. Pace car is off. Field is in the hands of Cabot, who gets a very early launch on those old tires. He'll try to build as large of a lead as possible to try to scurry away from George Belfance Jr., Bailey Turry, and Presley Sora headed to turn 1.
He's got clear getaway in at turn 1. And one thing we've seen, Blake, about drivers running the very inside for most of these runs, the common denominator is that right front has worn out significantly. Understeer has been a very big factor. And for the 17, I worry that him staying out on these older tires, if he continues to run the bottom and if he gets a little bit careless up at the front, it could mean the end of his run. These guys will leapfrog him in a moment's notice. But there is a good sign here. His teammate, here's Bailey Turner. He'll switch over to the inside and he'll play a factor in this as well. They'll invite the 94 of George Belfance Jr. And how about Presley Sora inside for 3rd?
Going all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, getting as much clean air as that 98 can handle. He'll get a little bit of drafting help down the straightaway from Bailey Turner that will pull him along, make that inside just a little bit better down the straightaway. But he has a ton of clean air there on the bottom. Another big run. Here comes Adam Cabot. Don't forget about him. He's to the outside, and he has a shot at this thing.
And you've got a tale of 2 stories here. Bailey Turner, Adam Cabot, both teammates as Presley Sora dives to the inside for the race lead in turn 1. A tale of 2 stories. Turner looking for his first ever Monday Night Racing Pro Series victory. Cabot looking for an entrance into the Championship 4. They're going to get some draft on the back straightaway. They'll have the 94 to assist. And here comes Shieldhouse barreling through the field to the race lead, turn 3.
He passes 4 cars in 1 foul swoop. Now, whether he keeps it off at turn 4, that is yet to be decided. One thing to note, Mark Rabilis also got stuck in his pit stall, so that may spell the end for that 99 bunch. 18 cars on the lead lap. Sora leading them all as he is on the bottom of turns 1 and 2. Not clear if David Shieldhouse, though. He'll have the run down the backstretch.
It just reminds me of that Championship 4 race 1 season ago. Shieldhouse in contention with another playoff driver fighting for the lead in the last 15 laps of the race. They're starting to stack up around the mid-pack of the top 5 because Max Kennan's in this as well. SVG starting to puncture into it. James Bickford trying to pick up the pieces to get back to the front as they have a huge checkup on the outside. And here comes the 41, Matt Stolnick inside for the lead, but he'll check up Ross at the track, and it'll open the door up for Shieldhouse to take the lead once more.
Well, we haven't seen this many contenders up at the front of the field, but also this is about time where the pay window's out. It is time to try and get a win. You see a lot of a mix of playoff drivers and non-playoff drivers alike starting to make their way into the fold. You see Shane Van Gisbergen starting to crawl back into the fray right here as there's contact with he and Bailey Turner. Gisbergen checks up, and it looks like he's going to hang on there. I don't know how that wasn't larger. Turner slides up and nearly into Presley Sora into turn 2. They scatter around now 2 wide, 3 wide further on back, but my goodness, oh, in trouble. Van Gisbergen turns 1 car to the outside wall. He just runs right through Maxwell Kennan. Kennan gets involved and runs into Brandon Brown, taking another one with him with hard contact. That was Gabe Wood. Caution is out, and that was all. It just looked like the 97 on the back straightaway just ran into the back of Maxwell Kennan.
And we talked about the checkups on the outside lane and the draft, how strong they are with these Dallara IR18s. It looks like Shane Van Gisbergen had nowhere to go with the run that he was utilizing and did not back off at all. And Max Kennan said, just so you know, there's 12 to go. Obviously very frustrated over the radio after this contact with the 97. And then the other drivers involved, Gabe Wood, the 12 of Brandon Brown in it as well. They were basically just bystanders on all of this. Remember, this is everybody checking up, everybody according together, just based on the fact that the tires are changing, based on who made the call on pit road, and of just everybody with the draft. And there's just a huge slam into the wall. Shane Van Gisbergen making the slight tap, and Kennan could do absolutely nothing to brace for impact. Here's a look on board from Brandon Brown.
Ah, man, tough lick there. Nowhere for Brandon Brown to go. And for all of you Anthony Alfredo fans, well, guess what? The climb hasn't stopped for Anthony Alfredo, as he is now back on the lead lap, running in 16th. And with a fair amount of cars that were just put out, this is going to change up. I think that last playoff position, we'll see. We'll continue to watch how these points shake out. But Alfredo in position now to make up some more points. Just passed about 4 or 5 cars through that incident, so Alfredo may get back in this thing before this night's out. Jacob?
And how about this? He just used his last set of tires on this pit stop. Fuel only under the caution flag. Before this, when he was a lap down, he takes fuel and fuel tires. He uses his last set here, so he's going to be on fresh tires with about 9 laps to go. Yet another back-to-front challenge for Anthony Alfredo. And if we could take a quick look at the points, because I'm curious where he's at right now. He's 5 points out. I have a feeling that's going to be different. He might be in by the time this thing's said and done, depending on how many spots he can pick off, because he's going to be restarting about in 14th spot. He's got, 9 drivers that stayed out. Adam Cabot on the oldest tires. I can't imagine that he's going to find much success at this point. And you've got to believe 15 cars now on the lead lap. So can't go too far back. Oh, maybe 16 cars on the lead lap. But still, that's not a big window. Alfredo, as long as he keeps it clean, can't fall back all that much. He can only gain from where he's at on the racetrack.
That is one thing of note, too, Jacob, is that we've had so many cars that have pulled it behind the wall that are out of this race. We're running out of cars on the racetrack. And again, this is what this IndyCar provides, is that, these drivers are so used to having opportunity after opportunity. They can crash once or twice before a fast repair would really even be a necessity. And yet here they are right here, where you're basically involved in one incident and you have to use that fast repair. If you get involved twice, you're out. You can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, a lot of outs right there, pretty much all the way throughout the field, pretty much 20th on back. So Alfredo in a position, he's not really going to lose anywhere, even if he's wrapped up in something. If he's involved in a wreck, he's really not going to lose any more spots. So he can only gain from here. Right now, David Shieldhouse, championship contender, is up front in the lead. He would lock his way into the championship 4 should he be able to win tonight. You can see Sora, Cabot, and Bickford all right now running in the top 5 who have the ability to do the same. But I gotta say, I really like that position that Fast Pasta is in with those fresh tires. 9 laps to go is going to be plenty of time if he wants to march up from the 15th position. Now, he is going to start at the tail end of the field, being the lucky dog, but I don't think it'll be too much longer. That car will be at the front of the field. So, whew, man, a lot left to be decided here in one of the most exciting races that we've had so far this season. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call for you here tonight from the Auto Club Speedway. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, folks. Hope you enjoyed. His pace car is off. We are back underway here at Auto Club.
Obviously a solid start for your race leader, but things will pick back up to the 20, and there may be a potential pass for the race lead. I already see Adam Cabot staying even with the 98 of Presley Sora. That's going to slow them down just a little bit. Looks like Adam Cabot may be able to clear. He will not, so Sora will have the advantage on the back straightaway. He may make it bottom 3 wide. He'll follow in the tracks of Matt Stolneck, and he'll go to the inside himself for the lead, but the 41 will shut the door out of turn 4.
Matt Stallneck to the lead. Oh, Alfredo just had to dodge a car further on back in the pack, and Nick Olsen is wrecking. Caution is out. That was the car that Alfredo just missed as Olsen got very tight, had to check up, nearly got in the side of Fast Pasta, but he did collect Ford Martin in the fray as Alfredo had made up 6 spots in 1 lap. We'll see it once again. Look at this gold car of Olsen on the bottom now. You can see nearly touches that orange car behind, or that was alongside of him. That was Anthony Alfredo. You see him spinning into the wall right there after contact with Ford Martin. So caution out once again. And honestly, Kenneth, I don't think that's what Alfredo wanted to see. He wants as many green flag laps as possible to use those fresh tires.
It's definitely true. He doesn't want to just pace around here and maybe get into green, white, checkered circumstances. You watch just the result, the byproduct of understeer on behalf of the 24. Just washed up the track. There was really nothing that Ford Martin could do. He was carrying so much speed. He tried to swerve out of the way and then got in front of Bailey Curry, who then checked up. They both hit the wall, and then Ford Martin just careening back down the surface. Could not avoid hitting the 24. And Olsen, who had a strong start here in this Roasted Gems Coffee 110. I may have to watch from the sidelines here. He's going to be obviously 1 lap down if things get pushed to shove, and he already used his fast repair, so his suspension already bent up on the right front. But this is a good sign here, Blake. Although he didn't get a lot of green flag laps, maybe to the amount that he desired, look at where he stands. Only 1 point, and he's sitting 10th right now. If there is a word that you can use to describe the effort that Anthony Alfredo has put into tonight's race, it is miraculous. The way he's been able to come back, and even if he doesn't win tonight's race, even if he doesn't get over that cut line, that's as low as you can get to get over the cut line at Atlanta next week.
It's been a great drive for the 23, and of course he'll have just a handful of laps or so when we get back going to try and make his way forward. A couple other runs to mention right now. I know we haven't really talked about James Bickford a whole lot tonight, but there he is sitting in 5th, doing his duty to try and make the championship 4 here in a couple of weeks. He's been doing a solid job. How about Seth Eggert? Avoiding all the chaos, started up here in the 8th position, had a very solid qualifying effort, and Seth Eggert in a good spot to potentially get one of his best finishes of the season as he currently rides in the 6th position. Same could be said for Justin Melillo, who was involved in one incident earlier with DJ Cummings, currently runs in 7th, and Dakota Curtis, haven't mentioned his name a whole lot tonight. Some drivers that very realistically, Eric, could kind of steal a win here at the end of this thing since they've survived all this carnage.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Matt Stallneck's ability to hang with the leaders. Obviously, he was a playoff driver but got eliminated in that first round, but he's held the lead. He's still holding the lead. Like, I keep waiting for some of these other drivers, these teams, to gang up on him, but you can see he's got nothing but green on that leaderboard right there behind him, but I'm impressed with how he's held his own. There's a lot of drivers in that top 10 who want to play spoiler. You mentioned Seth Eggert, Justin Melillo, who started inside the top 10. They're looking with eyes wide open at a great opportunity to steal a win right here, but of course I know my live chat here on YouTube is watching Anthony Alfredo very closely. 10th place, lost a few laps here, but at least he doesn't have any lap traffic. He doesn't have to start the tail end of this restart, so maybe a silver lining there.
Certainly so, but man, there have just been so many storylines to talk about in this race, and of course we still have one more race left in this round before we get to move to that championship race that will be taking place at the Homestead Miami Speedway. You talk about venues that are set for hosting races. I mean, this has been a spectacular race. Drivers have been able to use the entire racetrack. We've seen a lot of daring moves made. We don't know who's going to win, so this has been a great track for this, and obviously Homestead Miami Speedway going to be a very fitting venue to crown a champion here in Season 5. So we will try to get going once again. It'll be 5 laps to go when leader Matt Stallneck, who not competing right now for a championship, he was eliminated in the round of 13 at Texas a little bit earlier. He's just out here for pride and to try to add to that win total in the win column here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. So Stallneck will get a very early launch about the exit of turn 4. It'll be 5 to go when they cross the stripe this time. Green flag is back out. 16 cars out on track right now. Who's going to get here first?
And look at Shieldhouse already using the apron in turn 1 to get underneath the 98 of Presley Sora. He forced his way down there, and now they're just about 3 wide. All 3 of them playoff contenders. Here's Sora with a big run on the 41. He'll dive to the inside. Bigford's looking in as well. 2 by 2, 3 rows deep into turn 3.
3 rows deep, perhaps call it 4 rows deep if you want to count Seth Eggert and Shane Van Gisbergen as a part of that battle as well. Oh boy, some big moves being made here and a little bit of conservative moves. Well, guess what? That's out the door here with just a couple of laps to go. New leader at the front of the field. It is Adam Cabot, your defending series champion. Stallneck in second, and they nearly wrecked behind him with James Bickford and Justin Malillo.
There are 2 standing pillars, Blake, in the way of this fight for the championship four. You have Shane Van Gisbergen, who's been up and down throughout the entire field as Presley Sora goes to the inside for the race lead out of turn 4 and clears, coming to 3 laps to go. And then you have the 41, who now goes to the inside, 3 wide for the race lead. Here comes Shieldhouse with the move down low. He'll get a checkup into turn 1, and he'll be down low. 3 laps left from Auto Club out of turn 2.
They nearly look 4 wide and off at 2. A slide up in front for David Shieldhouse to throw the block on Matt Stallneck as that run stalls out up top. Big run to the bottom. Shane Van Gisbergen. Shieldhouse tried to throw the block but could not hold him off. A huge run for that 97 car to the bottom, and now he has the lead. Now he doesn't. Matt Stallneck in the lead. 2 to go.
But how long will it last? Presley Sora gave him the push into turn 1, and Shane Van Gisbergen using the shortest way around the track. He's going to slide up in front of Shieldhouse. He's going to make a block 3 wide for 3rd on the racetrack. Here comes Cabot in the middle.
Oh, trouble behind Anthony Alfredo, hard into the wall, and the long night for Fast Pasta may come to an end just like that. Contact between Seth Eggert and Dakota Curtis. Alfredo, an innocent bystander in that. Caution is out with 2 to go, and that may spell the end for his march back to the front of the field. We'll take a look at it one more time. You can see trying to push there on the inside as Curtis gets into the back of Seth Eggert, right up into Anthony Alfredo. Nowhere for him to go, and caution is out yet again. We are now going to go into overtime, Jacob.
I think he's okay. He doesn't have a meatball flag. All he did was spin. I mean, he got hit there in the right side pod, but all he did is spin out. He didn't hit the outside wall. He didn't get hit by anybody else. Maybe replace a front wing. Other than that, I think Alfredo is okay, and he's going to need a lot of help because we're only going to have a 2-lap dash to the finish, but he's driving good. He's still got a shot at this.
I mean, that's amazing. When I saw him get clipped with how sensitive these Indy cars are to damage, I'm just thinking there's no way. There's absolutely no way that he comes out of it unscathed. And I mean, he was just mere inches off the wall when he spun right there. So, I mean, maybe, I'm sure he has some type of damage. Maybe they can replace a rear wing. I don't know. But if he comes out of this without something that will significantly slow that race car, I would just be shocked.
I'm not entirely sure. That car looks clean. And think about this, Blake. Earlier on in tonight's race, the contact between Vargas on the back straightaway, him and Alfredo, I believe, both of them got into contact. DJ Cummings got hit on the left rear of the race car on his tire, but when he came back spinning across the track, he didn't have any steering bent. His wings were completely fine. His car looked to be in tip-top shape, much like it was when it rolled off of the truck, or the sim truck rather, for the green flag here tonight. And it doesn't seem to be a problem for Anthony Alfredo. This call to pit isn't necessarily a huge detriment. He's not going to lose that many positions, only maybe a couple. It looks like Seth Eggert also followed him on pit road. He's sideways in his stall, by the way. Not sure exactly what happened to the 57. As he has some bent suspension on the right rear. Alfredo will fall to 13th. But with that slight clip, I think just with the way he got hit, it doesn't really affect the suspension all too much. So he's able to walk away unscathed, and he's going to roll back onto the racetrack. So he's still got a shot to get over that cut line.
And again, he's going to have to take that opportunity. He's the last driver right now on the lead lap in 13th. So it can only go up from here. So he's hoping, I'm sure, for a lot of chaos. Although we have a lot of drivers at the front of this field who still have that fast repair in the back pocket. Imagine David Shieldhouse would be one of those, as well as a couple of others. So they even have something to fall back on. And again, there's so few drivers out here now. There's not a lot of points to lose if you're someone like a Shieldhouse, Sora, or Cabot. Even if you run into issues, there's kind of a minimum line you can hit in terms of how many points that you can lose, as the lights will go off on the pace cars. So the way overtime is going to work, you imagine it works just like NASCAR. We will have 3 attempts at a green-white checker, especially because they're working this week. If we can get back to the white flag, or if there's a wreck before the white flag, we will rack them up and try it again. And, you know, the nice thing is here about iRacing that when there is a crash on the white flag lap, we're not too worried about safety. So if we can get to the white flag, we will go all the way to the checkers, whether there's a wreck on the last lap or not. We don't have to throw a caution on the last lap like they would in real life because you're worried about safety. Well, guess what? In the sim, other than frustrations and if you have a direct drive wheel, maybe breaking your wrist or something, you don't have to worry about safety here. So, which I've never had a direct drive wheel, but I've heard that you can definitely hurt yourself with one of those things. That's how realistic they can get with these spins. I've seen videos of drivers with a direct drive wheel letting go of the wheel during a sim racing crash. I mean, that's incredible. But nevertheless, yes. It's incredible to think we're at the point that you can get injured in sim racing. But nevertheless, Matt Stallneck, Shane Van Gisbergen, 2 non-playoff contenders. They have nothing to lose up here. That are your top 2, Cabot, Shieldhouse, Bickford, Sora, all looking for that automatic ticket to Homestead. Pace car is off. Stallneck is gone. Green flag is out, and we have 2 laps to go here at Auto Club.
And now you wonder, with the amount that can't really be lost, here's Cabot's going to spin. He's going to hit the inside wall, slams back up the track. Will there be a caution? Answer is yes. A huge, huge incident for your Season 4 champion, Adam Cabot, parked on the apron entering turn 1.
And that was a self-spin. He just got out of sorts. When you go on the apron in these Indy cars, these cars they're tough. They get out of shape, and you can see right here, he's going to straddle the apron and the banking with the right sides, and it puts that car out of whack.
And I was asking myself before that restart whether the amount of points that really can be lost isn't really that much, whether these playoff drivers are going to put it all on the line for the win and give more incentive to that. It looks like it happened to Cabot, tried the aggressive move, hit the seam in the transition, and that was it. You look at Ford Martin, had the huge contact, and Jacob, your Season 4 champion, was looking great before all of this, and now it looks like he may be out of it.
Oldest tires out of everybody that was left in contention to win the race. And the deal is a 3.5-minute tow. He wrecks it just past pit exit, has to tow all the way around the racetrack. That's 3.5 minutes. He's toast. Adam Cabot is not going to finish this race, even though he has his fast repair. With that tow, by the time it's done, we're going to be back to green flag racing, and he's going to be multiple laps down.
So yet another problem for another playoff driver. It just does not get any easier. And again, all 3 major issues, all 3 drivers that are below that cut line, Eric, they were in the championship 4 last season. So this has just gone completely awry if you have some of that championship experience.
Yeah, Adam Cabot was sitting comfortably several points above the cut line. As it runs currently, he is -2, and Alfredo's only in a position to gain points and make that gap even wider. It's been chaotic all night long, but especially these final few restarts. You know these drivers are going to hang it all out on the line because, as y'all have mentioned, there's not much to lose. Like, there's just a few points out there. You certainly don't want to lose them, but a win means so much. Means you can rest easy at Atlanta next week. There's so much on the line. You can't blame these drivers for going for it, but I'll say it again. Last time you checked in with me a couple restarts ago, I mentioned Matt Stallneck. He just won't lose the lead. He's still leading this thing. Several restarts later.
We will try it once again, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, Alfredo is in, but he has all the opportunity to try and make up points here in these last 2 laps, Jacob.
They were just laughing about this in Sim. So Adam Cabot, with where he's at, he's P13 on the leaderboard right now. There is nobody left behind him that is still running. He can't lose any more spots. Adam Cabot, with a junked race car having to tow, is going to finish in the 13th position, and barring a massive crash before the white flag, that's the best he's going to finish. So even with Adam Cabot stumbling coming to the end of this race, he still gets a top 15, he still gets decent points, and he is in a manageable gap to the cut line going into the penultimate round at Atlanta, compared to Colin Fern, who had his issues early and now finds himself almost a full race back of the cut line.
Well, again, he can't lose anymore. Now, Alfredo can gain about 6 or 7 spots. So at the worst, because obviously once Alfredo moves into the top 5, he starts knocking back some of the other playoff contenders. It looks like the worst that Cabot might have here is about maybe a 10-point gap is what he's looking at. Now, Vargas and Fern in a much worse position. You have to start thinking, if you're in that 6 or 86 camp, you're thinking must-win territory at this point to try and advance. But I think what's on everybody's mind at the front of the field, though, David Shieldhouse, James Bickford, Presley Sora, they are just 2 or 3 spots away from locking their way in. They don't have to worry about the next gen at Atlanta, which, by the way, that's the next gen in Atlanta. A lot can happen there. I know it's the older version of Atlanta, where we can kind of spread out a little bit. It's not quite the super speedway-esque new version, new scan of Atlanta that was made in development with iRacing, that was eventually made into a real-life racetrack. So perhaps a saving grace if you think you have some speed, but they want to get it done now, so we will try it again. Second of 3 potential overtime attempts. Again, if we can get to the white flag, we will keep it going despite if they wreck. So Matt Stalnick, once again, he has an opportunity to win for the first time here in Season 5. Green flag is out. Not a huge jump. It looks like Ant Van Gisbergen moves to the bottom. Shieldhouse and Sora in tow. And SVG going to go to the outside.
SVG looking up top like a Justin Malillo, making 3 wide on the outside on the 14 degrees of banking. They're going to stack up here out of turn 2. Here comes Bick for a moment, and here comes Bickford, the pole sitter, coming out of turn 4 in the lead to the white flag.
Oh, and Sora is drifting back as they are nearly wrecking off at turn 4, but it looks like they're going to sort it out. White flag in the air, and we do get to it. 1 more lap to go. Huge run is stalled out, though, for Malillo.
I saw a wing fling out of turn 4, but it looks like no harm, no foul for everybody up at the front. Out of turn 2, they'll stack up again. Here comes Sonic. He'll get turned. He'll slam in his Shieldhouse. A large wreck, the big one, and it's 2 cars to settle it for the race win.
James Bickford and Shane Van Gisbergen going to be battling off the final corner. Bickford gets tight, though. And if you can look at the cut line now,
look at that.
You have 3 drivers within a single point just above it.
I'm in disbelief. I mean, they just all wrecked in SVG. The fact that they didn't have the pack there on the last lap coming through 3 and 4, that just allowed SVG to pull away, plus the bobble from Bickford. And you have 2 guys that are tied for the last spot there in Shieldhouse and Bickford. And Alfredo, after all of his back and forths, is 1 point above those 2, sitting in second, and is 9 points to the good going into Atlanta. Unbelievable. The finish is under review. And we've got trouble, guys. Maybe. I think we're good.
Well, I think perhaps dealing with some technical issues, but nevertheless, we will look at a replay of how this one turned out. The last lap here at Auto Club. Big moves being made there at the end, and then Van Gisbergen just able to escape just enough to get the victory. You see right there, David Shieldhouse, very unfortunate that he was wrapped up in that one. Doesn't look like he was able to get it rolling, and he wasn't. He technically finished a lap down in 11th place. Bickford was a little too hard on the gas there in turn 4, got a little tight, had to check up, loses all that momentum.
And for the first time, Blake, we see a car hit the rear end of another and not spin the front car out. It looks like the 41, he tried to dive low, swerve down the track. We've seen that happen multiple times with multiple drivers, including that 41 for the race lead, so it wasn't necessarily a surprising move by any stretch of the imagination, but Bickford obviously wasn't having any of it. He wasn't going to give him the space nor the time. He wants to enter the championship for like everybody else does, and so he gives the block, and then the 41 goes around, and as he's careening back up the track, just like all the other wrecks, everybody's trying to scatter around, and unfortunately most of them are not able to get by the chaos. And as Bickford tried one more time to stretch his hand, it was the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen again spoiling the party. I questioned so many times in my head whether the 41 or the 97 had something for the playoff group, and I was exactly right. Shane Van Gisbergen, win number 7 of his M&R career, second all-time with this one from Auto Club.
Oh, man, a lot going on here late in the going. We will await and see if we're able to catch up with SVG. But there you see the full running order on your screen. Van Gisbergen with the win. Bickford in second. Bailey Turner a solid run in third. Presley Sora fourth. Anthony Alfredo manages to get a top 5 out of a long evening. Dakota Curtis 6th. Justin Malillo 7th. Devin Henry finishes 8th. George Belfans in 9th. And DJ Cummings Kenneth rounds out your top 10.
It's David Shieldhouse, who was running in the top 5. White flag out of turn 2. Got collected in that crash. He is the first car 1 lap down in P11. He has Matt Stonig to follow, who also got in that crash in P12. Adam Cabot, we saw him slam the inside wall on one of our last restarts. He ends up 2 laps down in 13th. Obviously, with the fact that so many other drivers got eliminated from this race early, Cabot will have somewhat of a decent gap to the cut line, but it's not impossible to get over the hump at Atlanta next week. It'll be Seth Eggert in the 57. He'll be 8 laps down in 14th. Ford Martin into the top 15. He got collected as well in that incident with Adam Cabot going into turn 1. Nick Olson, a strong night, turned sour as he ended up in a crash, 15 laps down in 16th. Bailey Curry, same could be said for the 05 as he finishes 17th. It'll be 18th for the 50 of Gabe Wood, 19th for the 21 of Max Kennan, and the SimSeats machine of Brandon Brown in the 12. 21 laps down. Jacob Hitz rounds out your top 20.
Whoops, not that button. 21st belongs to Mark Rubilis, 22nd Michael Massey, Brett Baldeck 23rd, Steve Affont 24th, Ryan Vargas finishes in 25th. He's going to have a big hole to climb out of next week. Case Kallenbach 26th, Chris Wilner 27th, Robbie Lyons 28th, Will Rogers in 29th, Garrett Smithley 30th, and then the last two, Noah Lewis and Colin Fern, with a big hole to jump out of next week at Atlanta.
Certainly a big hole to jump out of when we get to our final race of the round of 7. As James Bickford brings it home in second, we'll see if perhaps trickling on in, we might be able to get SVG. But Eric, I'll let you go ahead and talk with our second place finisher, James Bickford.
Second place in the race, but the highest finishing playoff driver. Talk us through that final restart, James. What'd you see from your end?
Oh, the pain. Just talking about the finish, all I saw was a ticket into the championship 4 right in front of me, and missed out on it. So that restart, it was crazy. Obviously, the draft suck-up was absolutely ridiculous. And then you'd go into the corner and you'd have this huge arrow push that would make it difficult to maintain or hold the line. So I think a lot of drivers were dealt those cards tonight and trying to do the best they could. On the exit of turn, I think it was turn number 2. Man, we had the lead. It was looking good, and I think Matt tried to do a crossover and just got up on my back bumper, and that kind of killed my run. And then SVG, he was already hauling, so he got me back from Watkins Glen. I'll finish second to him this time, so we're looking good in points, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully performing at Atlanta next week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You had ultimately get a good finish. I know it's not quite the finish you were looking for, but a more secure points position than many of your contemporaries find themselves in. So how does that change or affect your approach for Atlanta?
Obviously, we have the points in mind. Now that I know that I'm good on points, I'm not put into a situation where I have to win to get into the next round. I'll treat it a little bit differently, and hopefully I have a Reed Wilson and Matt Scott, Leora Mullins, CJ Collins, all of them giving me points updates when they're in the Discord. So they'll keep me up to date, and we'll play a points game, obviously going for a win, just like we do every single week. But, with the championship 4 in mind, just getting there.
Yeah, race hard, but race smart. I like it. Well, congrats on your podium finish tonight, James. Good luck next week at Atlanta.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
And James Bickford finishes up in second. And Eric, if you want to talk to our race winner, I'll let you do that as well.
Yeah, might as well. While I'm down here, we've got Shane Van Gisbergen, winner tonight at Auto Club. Talk us through that final restart. We just asked second place finisher James Bickford what he saw, but what did you see? I guess you had the cleanest air at the very end.
Yeah, hey guys, that was a bit of fun. But yeah, I just tried to stay around the top and keep some momentum up, and then not quite sure what happened on the inside of me, but worked out pretty well, and then cut the nose off on the last corner and took his air away and got a clean run to the finish. So pretty fun.
What does it mean to play playoff spoiler, I suppose? Obviously, we're getting down to crunch time. A lot of these drivers have something a little extra to race for, but you were the one they were chasing when it all mattered. What does that mean?
Oh, I don't really care about their playoffs, but for sure I respect it and don't try and take people out. But yeah, I just come and race for myself and have some fun and just race everyone like they're their own people. I don't really know about their championship or whatever. I just come and have some fun.
Well, definitely impressive. Everyone in the playoffs is going at it, racing at the very top of their game, giving it the utmost focus. So very impressive to come out there and kind of steal that win away from them. Looking ahead to Atlanta next week, completely different type of race car. What kind of momentum does this give you? How do you expect that race to play out?
I don't even know what it is next week.
Next gen cars, I believe. Yeah. It's a stock cars, so yes.
Okay. Yeah, not sure. Hopefully I'm around. I don't know if I'll be home or not. So if I'm home, I'll race it, come and have some fun because it's always pretty competitive. But I'll see how I go.
We'll put on a show out there tonight. Congrats on your win, and hope to see you out here whenever the next time is.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so that is Shane Van Gisbergen, your winner here tonight. He takes home the gold, so to speak, although, like he said, he's just out here chasing victories. That's what you love to see. Looks like, Eric, you want to just wrap things up here with Bailey Turner?
Yes, well, complete the entire podium right here. Bailey, keep asking people what happened on that final restart. It was a chaos. What did you see from your end? How'd you wheel this thing to a third-place finish?
I mean, it was absolute chaos the entire time up there. Mid-race trying to battle there with David and just avoiding all the wrecks when necessary. I mean, you just have to take every single run you can and try to do your best to, offset that aero push. And it was wild. Just avoiding wrecks on the backstretch, diving to the apron, and doing everything you could there to try to make it to the end.
Was there any way to strategize from one restart to the next, or were you just kind of pick a lane and go for it? Like, how much foresight could you really put into each restart?
I mean, honestly, you just wanted to hopefully be at somebody's right rear. If you weren't at their right rear, you wanted to try to get that nose in clean air and pray they got tight behind somebody else and try to take advantage of a run. And I mean, that's what I did throughout that whole middle portion of the race. Just kind of let other guys kind of make their own mistakes and pick them off one by one, and ended up there in the top 3 for the majority of that tail end of the race.
Well, real strong run. Third place tonight, Bailey Turner. Looking ahead, I guess we can hopefully expect to see you at Atlanta next week in the next gen cars. Looking forward to that race. So what do you expect in these final few races of the season?
Yeah, just trying to put together some solid finishes. I felt like if I was there a few more races this season, easily could have been in the playoff field and, hopefully competing with these guys, but, trying to make sure you don't take any of them out, don't ruin their playoff chances, and just try to put yourself in position at the end to try to win one of these things.
Yeah, well, you've been running up front quite a bit these last few weeks. Another strong top 5 finish tonight for Bailey Turner. Thanks for joining us here after the race, Bailey. Good luck. Good luck next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And back to you, Blake. Appreciate you letting me talk to all the podium finishers here. That was a heck of a final restart. I know the chat was blowing up once it crossed the line, figuring out what the points implications were, who even finished up front. You had cars wrecking down the backstretch. It was chaos. I think exactly what we all expected when we saw these final overtimes.
No, it certainly was, and I think this only builds us up for more chaos next week. Next Gens at Atlanta, and now several drivers who are on the outside looking in or are just around that cut line. I mean, again, we have, at least according to some of our unofficial results right now, Alfredo, Shieldhouse, and Bickford. Those 3 drivers are within a single point. Cabot right now is 8 points out. You have 2 drivers who are pretty much in a must-win situation, so a lot going on here, guys. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable next week just because of the fact that we have Old Atlanta, which is attractive, really punishes the drivers, and the next-gen car, which a lot of guys, even the real-life Cup Series guys, are still trying to get a grip on in 2022. So with the playoff scenario, obviously going to be circled on Ryan Vargas and Colin Fern, what they can pull out of their hat. Remember, Ryan Vargas had been in this situation before. Colin Fern, though, not necessarily. He was comfortable last season, and now he has his back against the wall going into Atlanta. Everybody else basically all closed in together. No one is quite safe into the next round just yet, which makes it more exciting once we trickle closer to the Carolina Esports Hub. But what a race this was from Auto Club. And it just only adds on to the repertoire that Auto Club has built up in Monday Night Racing. Over the past 4 seasons, Auto Club has been featured in the last 3 races of the season in the playoffs at least once. And every single time, it adds a new element to the playoff hunt. Tonight, it does so once again. It doesn't fail to amaze. And we've got a crazy one next week at Hampton, Georgia.
Well, I'll just throw it to you straight here, Jacob. We have a couple drivers who are in a must-win situation. Do you think there's anybody capable of going out in Atlanta and getting the job done?
I think so, but I think they're guys that aren't in must-win situations. The guys that are on the outside looking in, they're going to need a lot of help. In talking pre-race with Cabot and with Shieldhouse, they have next week circled on their calendar that, hey, this is my best shot to lock myself in. They didn't look at tonight saying, this is the race where I'm going to put myself onto the stage. It's next week at Atlanta that these guys are looking at. So, maybe there's a shot that these guys on the outside looking in are able to go to victory lane. Maybe they'll need some more chaos like we have tonight. But I'm really struggling to see a path for some of these guys. Fern and Vargas especially right now, maybe just too far back with too little time to go.
We will see what the case is next Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on Podium Esports. And, of course, Eric Estep's YouTube channel with the running of the Next Gens at Atlanta, the final race of the round of 7 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Again, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll get you kicked off with the Out of the Groove pre-race show as we continue and draw in on the final 2 races here in Season 5. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Josh Mendoza and Race Control, Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium Esports, for our camera builder, Gary Sexton, overlay builder, Michael Hall, Cameron Alverdon on social medias for us tonight, and our entire broadcast crew. For our pre-race host, Eric Estep, our producer, Ryan Bauer, my colleagues in the broadcast booth, Kenneth Bueno and Jacob Hitz. I am Blake McCandless saying so long tonight. We thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast. We bid you farewell and congratulations to tonight's winner of the Roasted Gems Coffee 110, Shane Van Gisbergen. Anthony Alfredo to the outside. Cabot tries to block. Give the momentum to the 23. Here comes David Shieldhouse on the bottom with a huge push from Garrett Smithley.
Down onto the inside of the racetrack. Capital goes in. They touch. Going into turn 3. Still even for the championship lead.
And Adam Cabot crosses the line for the Magic Man to have his magic moment.
And going up against some of the biggest names in motorsports, how many people do you know have the chance to do that? What's that emotion like?
Yeah, I know one person. He's standing right here. So, I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Hey everybody, Kyle Busch here. Be sure to grab your tickets for the Monday Night Racing Championship Night. Grab them today.